Apocalyptic god of wealth, binding the goddess system. Ding dong. Ding dong. Ding dong. As soon as the sun rose, the group of owners in Fuhuali Community was buzzing. A person with the ID guaranteed food and accommodation kept posting messages in the group. ID hash guaranteed food and accommodation, at everyone, accepting beauties, providing food and accommodation, unlimited food supply, only for beauties. Interested parties can chat privately. As soon as the message was sent, every group exploded. ID hash A building 1102 DA Jun GE, is this going to end? What a stupid thing. Sending these garbage messages every day. ID hash A building 706 late spring, young man, if you are bored, come and clean up the community. ID hash A building 1001 real estate rental agent Xing GE, brother, this fishing method is too old, let us try a new one. ID hash A building 2106 Shui Amy, so disgusting. Shrimp head Lavi, why is there such a pervert in our community? I'm scared. Scared. ID hash building A2203 Whaley Fitness Gold Medal Sales Zhonghang, at Shui Amy, don't be afraid, I'm here, I won't let this scum hurt you. As expected, everyone was scolding him, and some people took the opportunity to flirt with him. Zhu Hao didn't care about this, he had expected it a long time ago. Looking at the red sky outside the window, he knew that the disaster was coming, and his magical ability would help him become the king of the new era. Just a month ago, the red fog suddenly descended, and the whole Jiangcheng was stained with a faint red. At first, the world didn't care, thinking that it was just caused by serious air pollution, which was too common in the developed Jiangcheng. As a grassroots employee of a department store, the busy Zhu Hao naturally had no time to care about it. The troubles of work and life had already made him headache. Until that incident happened, it completely changed his view. That day, Zhu Hao was ready to go home after a busy day, and his body suddenly twitched. When he came to his senses, he found that there was an extra system in his mind. Super God Cashback System. Super God Cashback, every time the beauty bound to their host consumes materials, it will be returned to their host in multiples and automatically stored in infinite space. The current return rate is 100. Number of beauties bound, 1. Current level 1 star, 2 more people need to be bound to upgrade to 2 stars. As soon as their voice fell, the system showed a photo. That was none other than the number 1 goddess in the company, Liu Shiqing, who was also the beauty Zhu Hao had pursued. But now there has been no contact for a while, and I didn't expect the system to automatically bind her. Ding dong, at this time, the phone came with a notification sound. Your friend, Liu Shiqing, updated a circle of friends. Open it and take a look. ID hash Lily Poetry, although the weather is bad, you have to live a good life, photo. In the photo, a beautiful woman with long wavy hair made a scissors hand gesture, and a piece of matcha cake was also in the photo. This ID number is none other than Liu Shiqing, who was just bound to Zhu Hao. It's already this late, and you still have the mind to post photos of hooking up with rich men. Zhu Hao looked disgusted. Just then, the system sounded in his mind. System prompt, Liu Shiqing has consumed 1 piece of matcha cake, and now 100 are returned, which have been deposited in infinite space. In Zhu Hao's mind, 100 cakes appeared in an illusory infinite space. They were the matcha cakes on Liu Shiqing's circle of friends. Oh my god! This is really a cashback. I'm not dreaming. Although I haven't contacted Liu Shiqing for a long time, the system still binds her. Does this mean that as long as the beauties who have contact with me can be automatically bound? Thinking of this, Zhu Hao showed a sly smile. At the same time as the Super God Cashback System appeared, the situation in the near future appeared in his mind in the form of memory fragments. As time goes by, the red fog will become thicker and thicker, but it is fatal to humans. There was someone on the internet who didn't believe in evil and insisted on staying in the red fog, but soon, that person disappeared and there was no news. The collapse of civilization and the breakdown of order are things that will happen sooner or later. But compared to the deadly red fog, what is more terrifying is the lack of food. The convenience brought by the development of science and technology has made many people give up the habit of hoarding food. When the real disaster comes, everyone will be trapped to death. When food and water are scarce, the real darkness is truly revealed. The hungry human beings are only one thought away from turning into bloodthirsty beasts. Zhu Hao, who has an infinite material return system, doesn't have to worry about this problem at all. Such a start is really God's help. Excited, Zhu Hao immediately took action. With his authority in the department store, it is not a problem to buy a batch of materials at a low price. Soon, the infinite space was filled with all kinds of materials, including food, drinks, and daily necessities. Then he took a long vacation to stay at home and respond to changes with constancy. Not even a week after the appearance of the Super God cashback system, the concentration of the red fog soared straight up. The scenery that could be seen 100 meters away before is now completely invisible. What's more terrifying is that when humans enter the red fog, they can't breathe, just like being in water, and they will suffocate to death after a long time. Until now, the streets of the entire Jiangcheng are covered by these red fogs, which are still spreading and rising like a flood. Looking at the speed of the spread of the red fog, there is a tendency to submerge the entire earth. Zhu Hao's home is on the 30th floor, in the commercial building of Fuhuali Community, which is a middle and high-rise building. Even if the red fog wants to spread up, it will take a long time. As for some residents on the bottom floor, they are not so lucky. The red fog spreads up quickly. Even if the doors and windows are closed to block the gaps, the red fog will still penetrate in. Because of the appearance of the red fog, a large number of citizens are forced to stay at home. The internet soon became the only channel for people to understand the outside world. My home is on the first floor, and the red fog is about to come in. I'm so scared. When will the red fog go away? I'm running out of food. Woohoo! It's really annoying. Why are there so many natural disasters every day? Some people are complaining, while others are taking advantage of the national disaster to make money. Who has food? I'm willing to pay for it. At the one above, I'll give you a bag of bread for 200 dragon coins. Are you crazy? This bread only costs 7 or 8 yuan, and you're selling it for 200? You're crazy about money. Get lost. Buy it if you want. Although he knew that he was being taken advantage of, many people still sent him private messages. After all, it was only the early stage of the disaster and money could still be used. When the red fog spreads to the point where it can't be controlled, any amount of money will just be a pile of waste paper. But compared to these, Zhu Hao is more concerned about the news about the superpowers. Sure enough, a post with more than 100,000 hits quickly topped the forum list. ID hash, have I got superpowers? I can actually make flames out of thin air. Har har har, could it be that I am the chosen one of the new era? Below the post, there is a photo of a man standing on a balcony with a half-meter high flame released from his hand. Within 10 minutes, the post spread at an astonishing speed and could be seen in various chat groups and forums. For a while, the entire network was in an uproar, and many people even became lickers. I knew that superpowers are real, big man. I am a senior fan, let me see your superpowers. Please protect. Please protect. I am 18 years old with long legs. As long as you are willing to protect me, I will do anything. The appearance of superpowers has appeared in the system's future prompts. As for how these people get superpowers, the system does not clearly state. However, no matter how powerful the superpowers are, people are made of iron and steel. If they don't eat for a meal, they will be hungry. In the face of hunger, even the toughest people will give in. What needs to be done now is to bind more beauties and expand supplies as soon as possible. Just as Zhu Hao was thinking, a text message came on his phone. Chapter 2 It's none of my business. At almost the same time, millions of people in Jiangcheng received official notifications at the same time. Longchao notice, recently, our city has experienced unprecedented abnormal climate phenomena. This red fog may contain unknown substances and pose potential risks to human health. To ensure the safety and health of every citizen, please stay indoors as much as possible, do not go out unless necessary, store enough food and drinking water, and wait patiently for rescue. Longchao's security department reminds, if any citizen feels unwell after inhaling the red fog, please leave the area covered by the red fog as soon as possible and escape to an open area. For citizens who show signs of alienation, please register for help through the official hotline. We will give priority to providing necessary assistance and support. Great, there is finally help, thank God. Everyone, don't make trouble, stay at home and don't go out, waiting for official rescue. After receiving the official rescue notice, the internet cheered instantly. But Zhu Hao didn't think much of it. If it was really capable of solving it, the red fog disaster would not have lasted so long, let alone spread to cover all the streets. The people on the internet were getting more and more excited, and everyone was waiting for official rescue. 2 days later, the expected rescue did not happen, but the red fog became thicker. Some low buildings and shops were even submerged by the red fog. The whole Jiangcheng seemed to be submerged in a red ocean, and only high-rise buildings could be seen. At this time, the people in the group could no longer bear it, and they all asked for supplies in the group. Took out some bread, instant noodles and ham sausages from the space, took photos of them, and shouted in the group again. ID# at everyone, except beautiful women, provide food and accommodation. There is so much food that you can't finish it. Those who are interested can chat privately. Only beautiful women. Beautiful women. Beautiful women. This time, the scolding in the owner group was reduced by more than half. Some people began to apply to add friends one after another. But when Zhu Hao saw that the avatar and gender were all men, he couldn't help but scold in the group. ID# at everyone, beautiful women. Beautiful women. Only beautiful women. Aunties and men, don't add me. ID# building A2103 Whaley Fitness Gold Sales Zhongheng, what? I gave you a chance, right? You dare to scold me. Don't let me know who you are. ID# building A706 Late Spring, at free food and accommodation. Young man, don't be too selfish. You have so much food, you should share it, everyone will remember your goodness. ID# building A2106 No Flower Amy, brother, look at me. Look at me. Soon, an ad request popped up on the friend list. Zhu Hao remembered that this person was still shouting in the group a few days ago, saying that he was a shrimp head lover, and now he came to ask for food in the blink of an eye. Really rich. No, now it should be that food can make the devil work. As soon as the application was approved, the other party immediately sent for 5 photos. In addition to life photos, there are also various fitness photos and boutique coffee shop check-in photos, just like a high-quality internet celebrity. Looks good. But why is this space a bit distorted? Just when Zhu Hao was puzzled, the system automatically prompted. Name, Wang Shui. Age, 24 years old. Occupation, front desk. Appearance, 4 points, 20% similarity between real appearance and photo. Character, 2 points, moderate feminism. Woman's virtue, 3 points, currently flirting with 5 men at the same time. Comprehensive score, 3 points. Prompt, does not meet the minimum requirements of this system and cannot be bound. The photos that were forcibly restored appeared in front of Zhu Hao one by one. Oh my god. What is this? You told me this is the same person. After comparing, Zhu Hao couldn't help but complain. This is even more of a photo scam. Those 5 men were actually able to flirt with her. They are really courageous. Zhu Hao instantly blocked her to avoid dirtying his eyes. Soon, the other party saw that Zhu Hao had not replied for a long time, and just sent a sentence, "Brother, are you still there?" What appeared in front of her was a series of red exclamation marks. She was so angry that she immediately started to curse in the owner group. ID# building A2106 Snowflake Amy, at everyone, this free food and accommodation is a bastard, don't be fooled by her, woo. As she said this, she also attached a screenshot of the chat, and made public the fact that Zhu Hao had cheated and blocked the photo. ID# building A2103 Whaley Fitness Gold Medal Sales Zhongheng, at free food and accommodation, damn thing. Come out. If you have the guts, come out and fight, otherwise you are coward. As the first bootlicker, Zhongheng immediately jumped out and helped to curse Zhu Hao in the group. In response, Zhu Hao smiled and said nothing, and directly sent the photo after the system was restored to the group. ID# free food and accommodation, you are worthy. These 3 simple words added fuel to Wang Shui's fire. She never thought that her bare-faced photos would be exposed. What was even more confusing was that she remembered that she had never taken these photos. Seeing that it didn't work, she quickly changed her attack method and began to complain. ID# A building 2106 No Flower Amy, woohoo, family members, Jamei, this free food and free accommodation distorts the facts, everyone must not believe it, and this shrimp head laver has nothing to eat, Jamei, don't be fooled. Faced with the criticism of the version answer, Zhu Hao took out the chocolate, instant noodles, and meat strips in the space and posted them one by one in the owner group. ID# Guankai Guanzhu, enough food, real and effective, no deception. Only beautiful women are accepted, and those who are interested can send real full-body photos without beauty and filters. In front of Ju Hao's strong evidence, Wang Shui was speechless. No one told her that Ju Hao really had food. Seeing all kinds of tempting food in Ju Hao's photos, Wang Shui regretted beating her chest. This time, there was no more insult in the group. Seeing the food piled up like a mountain in the photos, everyone was jealous. ID-A Building 1001 Real Estate Rental Agent Xingji, oh my god, you really have it. So much food. Share some with me, good brother. ID-A Building 3302 Lin Lin Loves Peach, brother, this is my real photo, no PS. Can you share some with me? ID-A Building 706 Late Spring, at Guardian Food and Accommodation, young man, now is a special period, you should share the food, my little baby hasn't had milk for several days, send me a few boxes. If you starve my little baby, I will never let you go, do you hear me? Threatening me. Interesting. Ju Hao remembered that this late spring was an aunt named Liu Mai. After retiring and taking care of her grandson, she found some free time in the neighborhood committee, running errands and sending notices. Relying on the neighborhood committee, she became even more sarcastic over time. Ju Hao still remembers that Aunt Liu's grandson Li Feifei was a complete naughty child. His grandmother's doting made him a famous troublemaker in the community. It was common for him to overturn trash cans, steal other children's food, and scratch car doors with keys. Every time the naughty child made trouble and was visited by someone, Aunt Liu would always use that excuse. Hey! The child is still young, what do you know? Why are you, an adult, arguing with a child? I just took some food from your family. What's the big deal? You are just arguing with a child. Aren't you ashamed? My Feifei painted your car because she thinks highly of you. Don't nag here and scare my child. When you meet such a person, even if she is wrong, the other party can bite you back. Ju Hao, who works in a department store, has suffered a lot in the past. Whenever her grandson Li Feifei takes a fancy to snacks and toys in the supermarket, Aunt Liu will ask Ju Hao to sell them to her at a low price. You dare not sell them. You will be scolded in the community that night. But, these are all things in the past. Now, the situation is completely different. Ju Hao snorted coldly. ID-A guaranteed food and accommodation, it's none of my business. Get lost. Aunt Liu was furious. Since she became the neighborhood committee liaison, no one dared to talk to her like that. It was a rebellion, a rebellion, a rebellion. ID-A Building A, 706, Late Spring, you little bastard, please be more respectful when you speak. I am your elder after all, and the younger generation should listen to the elders. Do you understand? My little treasure likes your beef jerky, so he also sends it to me, otherwise you will suffer. Aunt Liu warned again and again. ID-A food and accommodation provided, damn you. Who do you think you are? I have seen many shameless people, but this is the first time I have seen such a shameless old witch. I want a beautiful woman, so don't come here to rub your hands. Ju Hao didn't say anything and started to curse directly. Aunt Liu, who was furious, jumped up and cursed repeatedly, but no matter how she cursed, Ju Hao cursed back with double the firepower. The fuss in the group soon ended with the group owner's ban. However, many people are still tempted. It has been several days since the official announcement, and not only has no rescue come, but there has been no airdrop of supplies. Most young people don't have the habit of hoarding food. In addition to snacks, there are only drinks left at home. But these can't fill their stomachs at all. Go down to the red fog to find food. I'm afraid that if I don't find food, I'll be dead. The problem of hunger is getting more and more serious, and no one knows what to do tomorrow. Chapter 3 Adventure Live Broadcast. Mute yourself, but don't kick yourself out of the group. Ju Hao still understands the group leader's little trick. Leave a line today so that we can meet again in the future. Maybe there will be a day when he will ask for help. At noon, his stomach rumbled. Take out the fat beef, mutton rolls and shrimp balls from the space, and start to enjoy it. Enjoying the air conditioning, eating hot pot, and watching movies, this life is simply too good. During the meal, people took the initiative to contact Ju Hao. But without exception, it was either a deep PS photo fraud or an obvious plastic surgery face. Although some people looked good, Ju Hao also liked them, but the ruthless system immediately restored the other person's appearance before the plastic surgery. Looking at the plastic surgery face that was completely different, Zhu Hao immediately wilted. After blocking all of them, the other party continued to scold Zhu Hao in the group as expected. But in the face of the temptation of food, different voices began to appear in the group. Guan Kai Ji's eyes are like golden eyes. If you don't like it, don't send it to embarrass yourself. That's right, wasting other people's time is a shameful behavior. Brother, you have so much food, do you need someone to protect you? I only need 5 packs of instant noodles a day. 5 packs? You are too greedy, right? I only need 3 packs. Vicious competition, constantly appearing. Even later, someone was willing to protect Zhu Hao for free, just to eat Zhu Hao's leftovers. Zhu Hao snorted coldly. When everyone had surplus food, no one took it seriously, but now that there is nothing to eat, they come up to him shamelessly. People, they are so funny. Just then, a sound came from the phone. Sherry Zhong shooting applied to add you as a friend. When I opened the avatar, a familiar face immediately appeared. It was the female neighbor who lived downstairs. Zhu Hao remembered that she was still a doctor at Jiancheng Hospital. Although they were neighbors living upstairs and downstairs, Zhu Hao and her usually didn't say a word. Besides, he shared his house with others, which was completely different from Zhong Shooting's own house. The two were not on the same level at all. ID Building A1302 Sherry Zhong Shooting, hello, can you exchange food here? Seeing the other party's doubts, Zhu Hao sent the photo of the hot pot. Although everyone still had food at home, there was not much left. Most people's refrigerators were empty and the food had been eaten up long ago. Usually, they were busy with work and had 3 meals a day in the hospital cafeteria. Not to mention rice and flour, there were not many snacks such as biscuits at home, let alone hot pot. When the red fog spread, Zhong Shooting just finished her night shift and went home to rest. The next morning, she saw that the red fog had spread to the streets and alleys. After so many days, the family's remaining food had already run out. If she was not really hungry, she would not have looked for Zhu Hao. ID Building A1302 Sherry Zhong Shooting, can I buy 5 packs of instant noodles from you with 1,000 yuan? Zhu Hao sneered. You think I'm a fool? The purchasing power of 1,000 yuan now is not as good as 10 yuan before the disaster. A few days ago, someone on the internet had already used 200 dragon coins to buy a bag of bread. Now, after a few days, the price has soared to an unimaginable level. Besides, money has nothing to do with Zhu Hao. He doesn't have much money, but he has a lot of hard currency like food. ID Food and accommodation, photos. Zhu Hao didn't waste any words and got straight to the point. After a while of silence, Zhong Shooting finally sent a photo. Compared to the heavy makeup of other food seekers, Zhong Shooting's photo is much simpler. This is a selfie with a cat. In the photo, Zhong Shooting has long hair, which is smooth and dyed. With a light makeup and a white dress, she looked like a jasmine flower in the morning, fresh and refined, and particularly attractive. At this time, the system sent the evaluation results. Name, Zhong Shooting. Age, 26 years old. Occupation, doctor. Appearance, 8 points, 95% similarity between real appearance and photo. Character, 9 points. Womanly virtue, 10 points, never fell in love due to study and work. Overall score, 9 points. Tip, meets the requirements of this system and can be bound. 9 points. So high. The score given by the system exceeded Zhu Hao's expectations. And the fact that she had never been in love was also something Zhu Hao did not expect. However, it can also be seen from the side that Zhong Shooting is indeed one of the few natural beauties. ID Building A1302 Sherry Zhong Shooting, the photos have been sent. Can I have food now? The system did not specify the specific binding method, but even a fool could guess that to establish a connection with the host, it was either a blood relationship or sexual intercourse. ID Food and accommodation provided, come to my house at 10 o'clock tonight. When these words came out, Zhong Shooting blushed instantly. Although she had never been in love and had never experienced sex, she still understood the phrase, come to my house tonight. ID Building A1302 Sherry Zhong Shooting, can I exchange it with money? Gold earrings and gold bracelets are also fine. Seeing this, Zhu Hao smiled. ID Food and accommodation provided, what do you think? It seems that I am still not hungry enough, so I will wait a little longer. Anyway, he has plenty of time. On the internet, there have been many live broadcasts of exploring the red fog. Several people who were really hungry finally overcame their fears, went downstairs in groups of 3 or 5, and began to search nearby convenience stores and supermarkets. Different from those routine live broadcasts that have already written scripts. This kind of real adventure live broadcast has always been a hot topic before the disaster. Now that the red fog has descended, it has pushed the adventure live broadcast to the forefront. Seeing this, Zhu Hao couldn't help but become serious. Although the system has flashed fragments of the future, those information are too fragmented and can't provide much practical intelligence. The situation outside still needs to be explored in reality. In the camera, walking on the streets completely covered by red fog is like being immersed in a sea of red. Even with a flashlight photo, visibility is still extremely low. Except for the 2 or 3 meters at a close distance, the rest is all red. Oh my god, how can we walk like this? You are too brave, come on. After finding food, can you come back to sell it? I am willing to pay for it. In the live broadcast room, many people still pin their hopes on it. We have left the community and are heading to the nearest convenience store. According to the map, we are 300 meters away from the convenience store. Although we have walked past it many times before, this time it was like walking with our eyes closed. The 4 young people doing the live broadcast this time were 3 men and 1 woman. As they spoke, they were breathing heavily. All of them wore gas masks, trekking poles, and outdoor flashlights, as if they were well prepared. Soon, following the mobile phone navigation, the 4 of them arrived at the door of the convenience store. When the disaster occurred, the convenience store was open, and the store with its doors fully open was soon covered by red fog. In the aisles and on the shelves, there was a uniform red fog. Only by pointing a flashlight at the shelf sign could you see clearly what was on it. At this time, many of the food on the shelves had been pushed over and over, as if someone had violently robbed them. Oh my god, why is there so much less food? What are you arguing about? Isn't there still food? It is not difficult to see that soon after the red fog appeared, someone took advantage of the chaos to grab a wave. Without saying a word, they immediately opened their backpacks, and the 4 of them quickly threw all the food on the container, regardless of size, into them with both hands. The backpack that was empty not long ago soon became bulging. For a while, the live broadcast room was full of praise for the 4 of them. Even more than when they were praising Zhu Hao before. In addition, Zhu Hao also noticed that some people in the live broadcast room made useful suggestions. I remember that the clerk seemed to come down from upstairs every time he moved things. Maybe there is food on the 2nd floor. Yes, I went to this convenience store a few days ago. I know how to get there. Turn right in front and go up to the 2nd floor to the warehouse. There must be a lot of unopened boxes of food in it. As soon as these words came out, the live broadcast room was instantly ignited. A whole box of food is not at the same level as scattered food. The young man in charge looked at the comments for a while, and then decided to leave 2 people on the 1st floor to get supplies, and the remaining person went up to the 2nd floor with him. As the young man in charge moved, the camera moved to the back of the convenience store, and an iron ladder leading to the 2nd floor appeared. Before anyone could recover from the surprise, the young man walking in front suddenly froze for a moment, and the whole person was stunned. In the red fog, a black shadow lay on the ground. As the camera moved down, the appearance of the black shadow appeared in the live broadcast room. People. It was a man in a convenience store uniform. Unlike normal people, the skin on this man was extremely wrinkled, gray, dry and lifeless. What was even more terrifying was that he seemed to have become old in an instant, as if his vitality had been sucked out alive. Chapter 4: Goddess Seeking Food. This, a dead person. Holy shit. The young man who led the team had a trembling voice and collapsed to the ground, shaking all over. Don't be stunned. Run. Run. His companions behind him hurriedly helped him up and ran out screaming. For a moment, the shaking camera made people dizzy and they couldn't see clearly what was happening. At this moment, the live broadcast was suddenly interrupted, leaving only the pitch-black live broadcast room. What's going on? Why is the screen black? What happens? Hello, hello? Where is the person? Is he alive or dead? Is there anyone who can reply? Did you take the food back? I want to buy some. Where can I buy it? Tell me something. For a while, countless people left messages in the live broadcast room. Some people are worried about the safety of the live broadcasters. Some people gloated over his misfortune and scolded him for being incompetent and wanting to venture out. Some people are concerned about food safety. After exiting the live broadcast room, Zhu Hao looked grim. He saw the scene just now clearly. It was as if some unknown force had drained the clerk's vitality. It was as weird as it could be. It seems that some kind of mutation has occurred in the red fog. The risk factor is skyrocketing. On the other hand, Zhang Shuting's heart was very complicated. Her family was already out of food, and if it weren't for the few remaining packets of glucose, she wouldn't have been able to hold on until now. Now the glucose has been finished, and the only thing at home that can fill my stomach is the water from the tap. If a person does not eat for 7 consecutive days, his life will be in danger. But that's just theory. A normal person would not be able to survive without food for 3 or 4 days. The fatal thing is that Zhang Shuting is not without choice. As long as she wants, she can get food from their free food and drink program. Damn it. Damn it. She began to regret why she didn't save more food, so that she wouldn't be in such a miserable state now. After a fierce ideological struggle, Zhang Shuting finally picked up the phone. ID # building A1302 Sherry Zhang Shuting, are there any other ways to exchange for food? Zhang Shuting waited anxiously, feeling extremely complicated. She was afraid that the other party would reply, but also afraid that the other party would not reply, and she kept struggling with this for dozens of minutes. She soon discovered that Zhu Hao had no intention of replying to her. Zhu Hao saw Zhang Shuting's message, but he did not reply. The fact that she still has the mind to ask such a question now proves that Zhang Shuting still has an arrogant attitude and has no idea who is the superior. In that case, then continue to be hungry. Liu Shiqing, who was staying at home, felt exhausted and picked up her cell phone to check. It's only 3 o'clock in the afternoon. There's almost no food at home, what should I do? Su Yujie, who was in the room and was also her best friend, said anxiously. These two people have never done housework before, let alone cooking, and they usually don't even go into the kitchen. They were used to ordering takeout, but finally suffered a loss at this moment. The only things left at home were a few bags of buckwheat noodles and boxes of luncheon meat, which I bought on a whim in order to lose weight. I didn't expect that the thing I disliked at the beginning has now become a life-saving straw. How would I know what to do? There's no takeaway to order now, and I don't dare go downstairs. Liu Shiqing said worriedly. If I had known earlier, you wouldn't have eaten that piece of matcha cake just to post on your moments, otherwise we would still have dessert. Su Yujie complained. How could I have known it would turn out like this? I am also a victim. Liu Shiqing felt aggrieved. In fact, it wasn't just her, everyone in the world didn't expect this to happen. This sudden red fog completely changed the lives of many people. All right, stop arguing. Don't you have a lot of backups? Ask them to bring us some food. Su Yujie thought for a moment and suddenly said. Just as Su Yujie said, as the number 1 goddess of the department store, Liu Shiqing has at least 50 suitors behind her. They are all like born-licking dogs, kneeling and licking her all the time. Just look at this, the circle of friends posting a few days ago about eating cake received more than 100 likes in less than 10 minutes, and the comments below were even more dazzling. Yes. We can find them. Liu Shiqing suddenly had an idea and immediately posted a message on WeChat Moments. ID #, I'm hungry. What should I do? Picture. Attached is a photo of her crying with full makeup, looking as pitiful as possible. As expected, the comments below were all full of concern. What's more, some people even started chatting with Liu Shiqing privately. You must eat on time, don't starve. I will feel bad. How pitiful. Are you trying to lose weight? Xiaoqing, hold on. Help will arrive soon. I will come to you immediately. After seeing the message, Liu Shiqing was furious. Damn it. You're a bunch of losers who can only talk but not do anything. If you have food, just bring it to me. What the hell are you talking about? Normally, this group of suitors would almost always respond to one's requests, and they would deliver whatever one needed. But this time, they were all indifferent. Where are your colleagues at the department store? Go find them. You never know if someone has stored food at home. After hearing what her best friend said, Liu Shiqing suddenly thought of Zhu Hao. In the company, he is a well-known homebody. He stays at home whenever he has free time and often uses employee discounts to buy various foods on weekdays. Moreover, Liu Shiqing still remembered that Zhu Hao bought a lot of things not long after the red fog appeared. At that time, my colleagues laughed at me, asking me if I was preparing to hibernate at home by buying so many things. However, it is not Liu Shiqing's character to take the initiative to find Zhu Hao. In any case, it has to be the dog who takes the initiative. I had originally wanted to take advantage of Zhu Hao's message on my WeChat moments to start a conversation. But Liu Shiqing waited and waited, but no message came from Zhu Hao, not even a like. You stinky man, when you were pursuing me before, you were so caring and concerned about me. It seems that I have to take action now. Being really hungry, Liu Shiqing had no choice but to start a conversation. Lilisha, what happened recently? On the other side, Zhu Hao, who was bored, was watching short videos and immediately saw Liu Shiqing's message. Rare. He actually came to me on his own initiative. Is he asking for food? Zhu Hao smiled and sent the photo of the hotpot he had just taken. This made Liu Shiqing extremely angry. You are such a good guy, Zhu Hao. You actually made hotpot at home and didn't even bring me any food. You are really going to rebel. You are so nice, you can even order hotpot. I have been hungry for a long time. Crying. Zhu Hao has seen a lot of such green tea remarks. Usually, they pretend to be pitiful in order to stimulate men's desire to protect them so that they will give unconditionally. If it were me when I was a student, I would still feel a little sad. But now? Humph. I won't be fooled. Free food and accommodation, just go eat when you are hungry. You are an adult already. Faced with Zhu Hao's cold reply, Liu Shiqing was so angry that her nose was crooked. Isn't he this fucking nonsense? If I had food, would I come to you? Liu Shiqing gritted her teeth and replied angrily. You are bad guy, you always laugh at others. Angry. Free food and accommodation, what else? Lily poetry, Zhu Hao, I don't care. I'm hungry now, and I know there is plenty of food at home. If you don't compensate me properly, I'll be angry. Snort. Finally, you've told me your purpose. After all this time, you've been going around in circles just because you've taken a fancy to my food, right? Zhu Hao thought coldly. However, he pretended not to understand and replied deliberately. This is my food, why should I give it to you? You stinky Zhu Hao, you really don't know what's good for you. How come you still don't understand even though I've been so direct with you? Liu Shiqing was so angry that she asked her to ask the other party for food directly. It had not come to that point yet. What's more, Liu Shiqing confidently believed that Zhu Hao was just a straight man who couldn't understand her hints. The disaster will soon be over and the food in the house will last for a while. Wait until the disaster is over, and then I'll show you how I'll kill you, Zhu Hao. Liu Shiqing thought fiercely. Chapter 5, The Fox Takes Advantage of the Tiger. Looking at Liu Shiqing, who had an angry expression on her face, Zhu Hao sneered. Do you really think I didn't see through your little trick? You want to sell yourself and also want to be a saint. It's really funny. Liu Shiqing has been treated as a goddess by everyone in the company for a long time. With so many bootlickers around her, she will become arrogant over time. If Zhu Hao wants to fight against this arrogant firework, he has plenty of ways. The simplest and most direct way is to force her to reveal her true form and let her know who is the real boss in the disaster. The red fog downstairs blocked the way out. In addition to cutting off the food source, all outdoor activities were forced to stop. Zhu Hao, who had received a hint about the future, had therefore stocked up on various entertainment and sports equipment early in the morning to kill the boring time at home. It's time to get some exercise. As soon as he finished speaking, a pile of construction equipment appeared in front of him. He picked up the dumbbells on the ground and started exercising. Zhu Hao did not miss any of the dumbbells, barbells, aerobics, and treadmills. 2 hours later, looking at the calorie consumption on his sports watch, Zhu Hao nodded with satisfaction. At this time, his vest was already soaked with sweat. If it were in the past, Zhu Hao would have been unable to bear this level of exercise. But the strange thing is that since the super god system appeared in the body, both physical strength and physique have been extraordinarily improved. Despite this, Zhu Hao was still not satisfied. The convenience store clerk who was sucked dry by an unknown force during the Adventure Live broadcast has been lingering in Zhu Hao's mind. That horrifying scene went straight to their heart. It's always better to be prepared before real danger arises. Food is enough, but exercise plans should also be put on the agenda as early as possible. After putting the fitness equipment back into the space, Zhu Hao simply washed up and lay comfortably on the sofa. Just when I was thinking about what to eat later, the cell phone rang. Manager Wang. Zhu Hao muttered as he looked at the notes on the screen. Manager Wang is named Wang Heibo, a middle-aged man in his 50s. He is also Zhu Hao's superior in the department store. Wang Heibo spent nearly half of his life and finally climbed to the position of manager. As soon as he took office, he immediately demonstrated his domineering attitude with just a little power. In order to show his authority, he often points fingers at his subordinates. Standing on the moral high ground, he thinks that everyone he looks at is a fool and should obey his orders and do his work. On weekdays, Zhu Hao was often bullied by him. In order to show off his high position and power, Manager Wang always likes to ask Zhu Hao to buy coffee and receive express deliveries for him, and getting kickbacks from suppliers is not a problem. Zhu Hao, who always believed that less trouble is worse than more, did not report it. Unexpectedly, his behavior only boosted Manager Wang's prestige. Manager Wang, Xiao Zhu, how are you doing recently? As soon as he saw the word Xiao Zhu, Zhu Hao's face suddenly became embarrassed. Every time he asked to do some work, Wang Heibo would call himself this. However, times are different now. In the past, Zhu Hao had to accept it in order to keep his job due to the tyranny of Manager Wang. But now the world is in chaos, who cares about you? Very comfortable. Picture. Zhu Hao thought about it for a moment and sent the photo of eating hot pot. The moment he saw the photo of the hot pot, Wang Heibo's eyes widened. Everyone is starving now, and you are eating hot pot at home. Manager Wang, your quality of life is pretty good. I remember you bought a lot of food before. Manager Wang remembered that shortly after the red fog appeared, Zhu Hao purchased a large amount of daily necessities, and was ridiculed at the time for wanting to hibernate at home. It seems that this kid must have known something in advance, which is why he suddenly bought so much food. Free food and accommodation, yes, there is so much that we can't finish it. As he spoke, he took out some food from the space. There were snacks piled up like a mountain, including instant noodles and rice. What made Manager Wang even more jealous was that there were also fatty beef, steak and salmon. Oh my god, so many! After staring blankly for a long while, Manager Wang finally came to his senses. In addition to being surprised, Manager Wang stared at the photo full of food with a greedy look in his eyes. Manager Wang, not bad, very good. This is perfect, Xiao Zhu, you can take a taxi to deliver a few boxes of instant noodles and steaks, and the company will reimburse the taxi fare. Puff. Zhu Hao couldn't help but laugh out loud. Are you really stupid or just pretending to be stupid? You are used to pretending to be powerful, and you really think you are the leader, right? Food prices have been raised to sky-high prices now. Even for a bag of instant noodles, some people are willing to pay a sky-high price of 500 dragon coins, not to mention a whole box of instant noodles. The way things are developing, if the red fog continues to spread, it is only a matter of time before food becomes hard currency. At that time, as long as Zhu Hao was willing, he could just take out some food and command everyone. You know, in the face of hunger, human dignity is worthless. However, instead of rejecting him outright, Zhu Hao wanted to tease him first. I can't get a taxi now, how can I get there? How about you come over? When Manager Wang heard this, he immediately became unhappy. Manager Wang, I told you I would reimburse you, why are you so busy? Are you not listening to my orders now? Do you still want to work here? Manager Wang is not a fool. The streets outside are now covered with red fog. Not to mention taking a taxi, even walking is a problem. It's unfair. Maybe I can only understand human language but not dog barking. Zhu Hao sneered and said sarcastically. Manager Wang, Zhu Hao. What do you mean? Wang Heibo realized that Zhu Hao was mocking him deliberately and questioned him. What's up? You don't understand what I'm saying, right? You idiot? This time, Zhu Hao stopped pretending and just started cursing. ID hash manager Wang, Zhu Hao. You are so bold. You actually dared to scold me. I give you 1 hour to deliver the food to me, or you will not get your salary this month. Wang Hebo warned. ID hash, it's just that little money, so don't bother with it. You want food, right? Take a video of me right now, kneel on the ground and call me grandpa, who knows, I might even pity you. ID hash manager Wang, Zhu Hao. Publicly insulting your superior is a crime that is enough for the company to fire you. If you don't apologize and send me food, you will receive a lawyer's letter and go to jail. Wang Hebo was furious, but there was nothing he could do. He never expected that Zhu Hao, who was usually timid and fearful, would become so tough now. His official rhetoric is of no use at all now. Zhu Hao did not reply, but instead sent several photos of himself eating, which made Wang Hebo grit his teeth. Damn it. Damn it. You even dared to disobey my orders. I think you are tired of living. Wang Hebo wanted to rush to Zhu Hao's house and snatch all his food. But now the streets are full of red fog, and Wang Hebo's house is some distance away from Zhu Hao's house, and it takes more than 10 minutes to drive there. This idea is obviously unrealistic. Wang Hebo thought about it and decided to send the news of Zhu Hao's hidden food to all work groups. Since I can't handle you, let someone else handle you. Wang Hebo said with a sly grin. Chapter 6, Fight with me. You're far from it. When Zhu Hao woke up the next day and was starving, he just picked up his phone and a series of messages kept popping up. Without exception, all of them were friend requests asking for food. And most of them are colleagues in the company. What? So many people added me in one night. Zhu Hao remembered that he just posted a message in the owners group that he would hire a beautiful woman and provide her with food and accommodation. But I've never sent a message to the company group, so why are there so many people asking for food in one night? Is it Wango who did this? Thinking about how he had just scolded manager Wang last night, Zhu Hao thought that he might be the one causing trouble. Seeing that the protagonist did not reply to them, many people simply tagged him over and over again in the group. Zhu Hao took a quick glance and found that all the messages to him were about food. Some have a good tone, while others have an irritable tone. Young man, please accept my friend request. I have something urgent to talk to you about. Brother. We are all colleagues, I beg you, can you give me some food? I have money, I am willing to give you whatever you want. Now is a special period, the government has issued a notice asking us to help each other. You have so much food at home, shouldn't you share it? We are not eating for free, we just need to pay for it. That's right. That's right, you stored so much food, aren't you hoping to make a fortune right now? We'll give you money to buy it, okay. Come out quickly, what does it mean to not speak? Seeing Zhu Hao being besieged in the group, Wang Hebo laughed out loud. You've been so arrogant, now let's see how you end up. I don't believe you can offend everyone. Zhu Hao usually looks like someone who is easy to bully in the company, and he will never refuse anyone who asks for help. He suddenly became the target of public criticism, but Zhu Hao didn't care much. He had anticipated something like this. It just happened earlier than expected. Zhu Hao took a quick look and asked in the group. ID hash eating picture. He said this along with a photo of beef noodles and pancakes for breakfast. As soon as Zhu Hao replied, the people in the group immediately became excited. They all said, "Oh my god, you still have hot food. I've been eating cookies for days. You are so well hidden, kid. You must have hidden a lot of food. I remember you bought a lot of food from the department store under your company before. Do you know anything about this?" Although manager Wang spread the news that Zhu Hao had food in the company group, he did not say how much. ID hash manager Wang, so what? Do you know you're wrong? Wang Hebo continued to threaten. ID hash, are you the one who spread the news? ID hash manager Wang, great, bring the food to me now, apologize and give me half of the food. Otherwise I will post the news that you hid the food online. ID hash free food and accommodation, what if I say no? Faced with such a situation, Zhu Hao remained very arrogant, which made Wang Hebo so angry that his face turned red. He warned again and again. ID hash manager Wang, you have to think clearly. If people outside know that you have so much food, they can do anything. This is your last chance. This time, Zhu Hao didn't reply. Everyone can say harsh words. In the past, Zhu Hao would have been somewhat frightened. But it's different now. Times have changed. Whoever has food and weapons is the real talent. Zhu Hao knew Wang Heibo's character very well. He is a bully who only bullies the weak and fears the strong. The more you retreat, the more he will become more aggressive. When facing this kind of guy, you can only beat him up with your fists, and then he will truly submit. In this situation, going out to beat up Wang Heibo? That's totally unnecessary. There are plenty of people who are willing to take action for themselves. Seeing that the people in the group were getting more and more intense, Zhu Hao simply took advantage of the situation. ID free food and accommodation. Who among you wants food? As soon as the words fell, the people in the group responded immediately. Me? I want to eat. Give it to me. I want 10 boxes of beef and 2 bags of instant noodles. How much do they cost? I want 50 chocolate bars and a box of mineral water. I'm willing to pay 1,000 yuan. List out how much your food costs. Everyone in the group was talking at once, and some even suggested that Zhu Hao make a price list. ID free food and accommodation, free of charge. What? No money. Looking at the 3 words Zhu Hao sent in the group, Wang Heibo was stunned for a moment. This guy doesn't want money. What on earth is he doing? Before everyone could react, Zhu Hao continued to add. ID food and accommodation provided, but you have to do something for me first. If you can do it, I will give you food for free. Oh my god, is this true? Free food, is that so good? You are not lying to us, there is such a good thing in the world. What do you want me to do? Just tell me, I will do it for you even if I risk my life. Tell me, what do you want to do? Being able to exchange food for free, even before the red fog appeared, everyone would have thought twice about this kind of thing. But now, in the face of hunger, even though they know there are traps, everyone is still willing to choose to believe it. Maybe, it's true. At the same time, Manager Wang was also looking at Zhu Hao's reply. ID free food and accommodation, go beat up Wang Heibo for me. The harder he beats you, the bigger the reward you will get. As soon as these words were spoken, they immediately caused heated discussions in the group. Who is Wang Heibo? He is the manager of the marketing department. As the largest department in the company, he is in charge of the most people. A grassroots employee actually asked someone to beat him up. What an outrageous behavior this is. ID Manager Wang, did you hit your head? I'll make you look bad when we get back to the company. Unable to contain himself, Wang Heibo started cursing in the company group. How? Stop causing trouble and apologize to the manager right away. Yes, don't let your impulse ruin the whole thing. Some people wanted to persuade Zhu Hao to apologize quickly, while others just lurked in the group to watch the fun. Faced with doubts, Zhu Hao did not hesitate. At this point, any further explanation would be in vain. Just speak directly. ID food and accommodation provided, first come, first served. Whoever can do this will be given 20 bags of instant noodles and 10 bags of beef jerky. Everyone was stunned when looking at the picture of the prize sent by Zhu Hao. My first reaction was, is he serious? At this moment, everyone became agitated. Not to mention anything else, just instant noodles are already sold at sky-high prices outside. When supplies cannot be replenished, those who have surplus food are equivalent to holding the hope of future survival. In the face of life, money and dignity are useless. The company group, which was still restless not long ago, suddenly became silent. On the contrary, there were no less than 50 private messages and friend requests on Zhu Hao's phone. 20 bags of instant noodles and 10 packs of beef jerky. The temptation is too great. What's more, it's not a matter of murder or arson, so it's not a bad idea to just beat Wang Heibo up. As if realizing something, Wang Heibo hurriedly shouted in the group. ID Manager Wang, Zhu Hao, what are you doing? You are spreading rumors to confuse the public. I warn you, don't mess around. This is a society ruled by law. If you hit someone, you will go to jail. I advise you to be sensible and withdraw the message. Don't ask for trouble. Compared to the previous bustle, the company group now became deserted. Only Wang Heibo was left cursing loudly. Some people went to chat with Zhu Hao privately and asked about the truth of the matter, while some continued to dive and watch the fun. Brother, is this true? If I beat him up, I'll have something to eat. Choose me. Choose me. I know where his house is. Brother, are there any spots left? I live close to his house, I can rush over first. Looking at his colleagues who had become his thugs under the temptation of food, Zhu Hao crossed his legs and spoke while drinking coffee. Wang Heibo, you want to fight me? You are far from it. Chapter 7 Being Targeted. He chose a colleague who lived closest to Wang Heibo's home and told him to live broadcast the entire process while working. Zhu Hao smiled and sat at home waiting quietly. As for food consumption, he was not worried. After all, there is no gain without pain. You have to let them taste the sweetness and understand that they can only eat if they work for you. Then they will be willing to work for you in the future. The owner group of Building A in Fuhuali Community no longer has the liveliness it once had. In the past, some people would post gossip and chat in the group, but now all that is left are the worries and questions of the owners. ID # Building A 1001, Real Estate Rental Agent Brother Sheng, what is going on? So many days have passed, why hasn't the rescue arrived yet? ID # Building A, Room 1102, DA Jun GE, why are you in such a hurry? They are not the only ones saving us. Just wait patiently. The rescue team will come sooner or later. ID # Building A 1501 Brave and Invincible, you have food at home, so of course you are not in a hurry. Why don't you share some of the food? You are just complaining all day long. ID # Building A 1102, Dejunj, why are you talking about me? If you have the guts, why don't you go to the supermarket downstairs? Aren't there a lot of food there? ID # A Building 1001 Real Estate Rental Agent Xing GE, are you talking nonsense? The downstairs is full of red fog, how can I get in? If anyone has food, please share it. ID # Building A 2203, Whaley Fitness Gold Medal Sales Zhongheng, yes, if anyone has food, please give some out. We all live in the same building and should help each other. Seeing that the people in the group were still so naive, Zhu Hao couldn't help but sneer. In the current situation, we don't know when the rescue team will show up, which means we will have hard times in the future. Those who still have food at home would like to hide all the food, so why would they share it? At this moment, Liu Mai, who had been criticized by Zhu Hao before, came out and said something sarcastic. ID # Building A 706, late spring, isn't there someone in Building A who claims to have a lot of food? He also wants to take in beautiful women. At this time, he should take out all the food and help everyone. After she reminded them, the others reacted immediately. ID # Building A 2203 Whaley Fitness Gold Medal Sales Zhongheng, I think that guy's name is Free Food and Accommodation. ID # A Building 2106 No Amy, yes, that guy, he lied to me about his photo before, he is a jerk, come out now. For a moment, everyone's attention was shifted from Liu Mai to Zhu Hao. People in the group kept tagging Zhu Hao, wishing they could find him through the internet. Faced with the crowd's gaze, Zhu Hao calmly continued to post messages recruiting beauties. ID # At everyone, recruit beauties, provide food and accommodation, unlimited food supply, only for beauties. Everyone was troubled by the food shortage, but Zhu Hao was here sending and receiving messages from beautiful women. This action instantly ignited the anger of the crowd. ID # Building A 1001, Real Estate Rental Agent Xing GE, what do you mean? I asked you to share food, but you are collecting beauties here? Are you horny? ID # Building A, Room 1102, DA Jun, young man, don't be too selfish. You should have a sense of justice and be selfless. Only then will everyone remember your kindness. ID # Building A, Room 706, the late spring, that's right. If everyone is like you, wouldn't this society be in chaos? Young people nowadays are so selfish. When we were young, we were not like you. Once someone took the lead, other neighbors came out to join in. You and I described Zhu Hao as the sinner of the whole world. But Zhu Hao understood that most people were a mob, and as soon as the wind changed, they would immediately change their course. ID #, it sounds better than singing. I don't believe that I am the only one in the whole building who has food. Why don't you ask them to take out the food? Why do you only ask me to donate food? As soon as Zhu Hao said this, the cursing in the group suddenly decreased by more than half. After all, the facts are in front of us. Building A of Fuhuali Community has more than 30 floors, with 6 households on each floor, totaling more than 200 households. There must be many people who have hidden food. The reason why they singled out Zhu Hao for criticism was because Zhu Hao had been too flamboyant in the group before and had been targeted by many people with ulterior motives. The one who caused the most trouble was the one with the ID, the Invincible Brave. Zhu Hao remembered that the man's name was Zhao Yang, and he was the contractor of a nearby construction site. After the red fog appeared, the construction site where he was working was forced to stop work. Without work, there is naturally no money to be collected. Now the red fog has not dissipated, and Zhao Yang is becoming more and more anxious. Seeing that moral blackmail was useless, Zhao Yang simply started threatening. ID #building A1501 The Invincible Warrior, boy, you are so ungrateful. We asked you to share the food because we respect you. If you are so ungrateful, you will offend a lot of people. Har har. Offended many people. Zhu Hao snorted coldly. At this point, is he still afraid of offending people? It is a foregone conclusion that the red fog will become a global disaster. The order of the past is gradually collapsing, and for a long time in the future, the world will belong to those who have food. By then, everyone will have to look at my direction before doing anything. Would I still be afraid of offending people? It's really funny. Zhu Hao replied directly. ID #free food and accommodation, so what? If your tone is nicer, maybe he will give you some food out of pity, but if you try to use moral blackmail on me. As long as I have no morals, I am not afraid of you kidnapping me. Zhu Hao's refusal made Zhao Yang furious. ID #building A, room 706, the late spring, now is a critical moment, and the minority should obey the majority. When you are asked to donate food, you are haggling over it, without any spirit of dedication. With someone backing her up, Liu Mai also started to chime in. ID #, old woman, I didn't scold you enough before, did I? If you have a spirit of dedication, why don't you donate your house? Why are you pretending to be a good person here? If you don't have the ability, just shut up. Liu Mai is always trying to take advantage of various small things, and she is well known for being mean in the Fuhuali community. But due to her age, many people choose to avoid her if possible and try to avoid conflicts with her. After being taken advantage of by her, most people choose to suffer in silence. But now Zhu Hao directly started to curse and scold in the group, which made many people in the group applaud and cheer, and secretly feel happy in their hearts. ID #building A1501 The Invincible Brave, boy, I've got my eyes on you. Don't let me catch you, or you'll be dead. There is no room number or real name on Zhu Hao's ID. Even if the people in the owner's group were unhappy, there was nothing they could do but grit their teeth across the screen. Zhao Yang, who was helpless, could only continue to make harsh remarks in the group. Zhu Hao chose to laugh it off. Chapter 8 Playing the Good Cop and the Bad Cop. Zhang Shooting read all the messages in the owner's group without missing a single one. She was also very clear about the seriousness of the matter. A few days ago, people in the owner's group were still friendly, with only a few grumbles and complaints. But now many people in the group have begun to show impatience, and some have even said wildly that if there is no more food, they will break into those empty houses and steal all the food inside. Faced with the prospect of starving to death, going to jail for a crime is nothing more than a small matter. Although the looting and burning incidents have not happened yet, Zhang Shooting believes that it won't be long before people's bestial side will show up. At that time, the only way to protect yourself is force. When that time really comes, wouldn't I, who am powerless and unable to even fight a chicken, be the first prey to be targeted? Thinking of this, Zhang Shooting couldn't help but shudder. The most important thing is to find strong support before the situation gets worse. Is it really true that he is the only one I can look for? Opening her phone and staring at the chat interface with free food and drink, Zhang Shooting bit her lip. As a surgeon at Jiangcheng Hospital, she has always been a leader among her peers with both beauty and intelligence. But when she thought about the fact that she had to lie under the crotch of a strange man just for a bite of food, she couldn't help but shed tears. The truth is cruel. No matter who you were before the disaster, you now have only one identity, that is, a disaster survivor. Phew. Cool. When the clearance interface popped up, Zhu Hao exclaimed loudly. I anticipated that after the red fog spread, I would be bored being forced to stay at home. To this end, Zhu Hao spent a huge amount of money to buy a large number of games. Cyberpunk 2177, Old Man Ring, Black Myth Ape God, etc. Games that you usually don't have time to play due to work can now be played to your heart's content all at once. Just when Zhu Hao was thinking about which game to play next. Ding dong. There was a sound of new message coming from the phone. Xiao Yuwei applies to add you as a friend. A like rain? Who is this? Zhu Hao couldn't help but ask. What concerned him most was that the other party actually searched his phone number directly to add a friend. This means that the other party is not from the company group or the owner group. ID # free food and accommodation who? As soon as the friend request was approved, Zhu Hao asked straight to the point. Open her circle of friends, and you will see a whole bunch of photos that look like internet celebrities. Check in photos at coffee shops, travel photos to various places, boutique afternoon tea photos, etc. Every time she posts on her moments, she would include a few exquisite photos of herself with full makeup, accompanied by some flowery words. It seems particularly pretentious. When seeing these photos, Zhu Hao thought of another person. The beauty he once pursued, the #1 goddess in the company, Liu Shiqing. Her circle of friends is also full of photos of this type. As he continued browsing, a sentence sent by the other party made Zhu Hao feel puzzled. ID # Xiao Weiwei, Zhu Hao, are you still a man? What kind of crazy woman? You asked me if I was a man right away? Do you want to give it a try? Without waiting for Zhu Hao to reply, the other party continued to add. ID #, you haven't come to comfort Shiqing for such a long time, don't you know she is very sad? Do you still have her in your heart? Faced with such doubts, Zhu Hao felt a little puzzled. Shiqing? Could the person she was talking about be Liu Shiqing? ID # who are you? What does this mean? Zhu Hao asked in confusion. ID #, I am Shiqing's best friend and roommate, my name is Su Yujie. Your words a few days ago were so hurtful that Shiqing was so sad that she couldn't eat and said she would block and delete you. I couldn't bear to see it, so I came here to tell you something. At this moment, Zhu Hao suddenly understood. I thought Liu Shiqing would give up after being left speechless by my own straight male language. Unexpectedly, the other party actually asked her best friend to persuade her and make her give in. After all, compared to Liu Shiqing speaking in person, it is obviously less likely to lower one's status by letting an outsider speak. Liu Shiqing, you still can't let go of that useless arrogant attitude. Zhu Hao chuckled and shook his head. Anyway, I'm bored now, so I might as well tease you guys. ID # guaranteed food and accommodation, what should I do? Is there any remedy for this? Zhu Hao asked, pretending to be nervous. On the other side, seeing Zhu Hao's reply, Liu Shiqing and Su Yujie, who were staring at the phone screens, smiled at each other. I took the bait. It turns out that men are men. No matter how capable they are, I can hook you with just a few words, and soon you will become my bootlicker again. When the time comes, I'll show you how I'll kill you. Liu Shiqing and Su Yujie couldn't help laughing when they imagined that they would soon be able to get a large pile of food from Zhu Hao's house. I was happily thinking about what to eat for the first meal. Quick! Quick! Fish him up! Liu Shiqing, who was the first to come to her senses, said hurriedly. ID # Xiao Weiwei, don't say I didn't remind you. Come over tonight and cook her a big meal, kneel down and apologize, and I'll say a few good words for you. She might even calm down. When Zhu Hao saw the news, he couldn't help laughing. ID # free food and accommodation, sure, I'm a good cook. What dishes do you have at home? Zhu Hao continued to play dumb. As soon as these words were spoken, her best friend Su Yujie was immediately very angry and started coughing repeatedly. What do you mean, Zhu Hao? I gave you advice, but I asked you to bring food, not to come and cook. He's really too straight. He couldn't be more straight. I have to tell him directly. Liu Shiqing, who was also shocked by Zhu Hao's straight masculine remarks, took a deep breath and said. If it were in the past, my best friend Su Yujie would have been extremely disgusted with this kind of straight guy. Thinking of this straight man with no emotional intelligence, she was too lazy to even reply to his chat. But the situation is different now. Even if she is unhappy, facing the mountain of food piled up like a mountain in Zhu Hao's house, she can only choose to give in. Best friend Su Yujie readjusted her mindset. ID #, what are you talking about? I asked you to bring the ingredients and cook to apologize to Shiqing. I'm so direct, even if you're straight, you can still see clearly. Best friend Su Yujie thought so, but Zhu Hao's straight man words far exceeded her imagination. ID hash guaranteed food and accommodation, huh? Aren't I going to your house to cook? Then why am I here? Su Yujie, whose face turned pale due to Zhu Hao's anger, gasped and couldn't help cursing. But no matter how much you curse or make a fuss, you can't go against food. ID hash, didn't you stock up on a lot of food? Just bring the food over here. Giving up all the previous hints, best friend Su Yujie spoke directly. ID hash, if I treat her to a big meal, she will forgive me, right? Zhu Hao pretended to understand some of it. ID hash, yes. That's right. So come here quickly, otherwise she will continue to be angry and will not forgive you. In order to urge Zhu Hao to hurry over, best friend Su Yujie directly brought up Liu Shiqing. Just when the two thought they were about to fish Zhu Hao ashore, they unexpectedly suffered the biggest failure of their lives. ID hash free food and accommodation, let us talk about it later. I'm busy now. Not only Su Yujie, but even Liu Shiqing was stunned. She never expected that Zhu Hao, who had always been at her feet, would become so independent now. Not free now? What does that mean? When you were chasing me before, even in the middle of the night, you would come immediately as soon as I asked you to. Now I ask you to bring food, but you are not available. Liu Shiqing said angrily. On the other side, Su Yujie, who was very angry, said fiercely, it's too much, it's really too much, how can Zhu Hao say such a thing? But soon, both of them realized that they had been tricked. Now that the red fog is everywhere, everyone is forced to stay at home and there is nothing to do. Zhu Hao's statement that he was busy now was just a trick to tease them. Stingy, really stingy, why in the world there are such stingy men, what a mean man. No, we have to post Zhu Hao online and let all the sisters scold her. Right. That's right, this kind of scumbag should be scolded so badly that his mother won't recognize him. Just wait for your disgrace. On this matter, the two hit it off immediately and did it right away, and immediately posted screenshots of the chat online. Chapter 9, Why Pretend to be a White Lotus? Family members, who understands? I was shocked by a straight man today. I felt sorry for him and wanted to give him a chance, asking him to come to our house and cook a meal for us as an apology, but who knew that this straight man would not appreciate it? It's really outrageous, sisters, come and judge. After pressing the send button, Liu Shiqing happily waited for the reply. However, things did not develop as she expected. Now, the hot topics on the internet are all about red fog. Venture into the red fog, what effects will inhaling the red fog have on the body, and whether the emergence of superpowers is related to the red fog, etc. As for the topic, I was shocked by the straight man posted by Liu Shiqing online, the number of likes was very small. Instead, many people began to sympathize with Zhu Hao, believing that he did it purely for his own sake, and they chatted privately with Liu Shiqing, hoping to get Zhu Hao's contact information. This made Liu Shiqing, who was already very angry, even more speechless. What's going on? Didn't we agree that girls would help girls? Now, what does it mean to help Zhu Hao, a straight man? Less than half an hour after Liu Shiqing's post was posted online, it was found by a caring colleague in the company and sent to the person involved, Zhu Hao. He wanted to win Zhu Hao's favor by doing this. Zhu Hao was not surprised by such tricks. After all, his previous remarks in the company group had already left him with an image of being willful and having money in the minds of many colleagues. Seeing that Liu Shiqing's post quickly sank and disappeared from the internet, Zhu Hao just smiled. Why are you pretending to be such a white lotus? Everyone is in danger right now and is worried about food shortages. You still have the mind to make such a feminist speech here. You really have nothing better to do. However, as one of the people bound to the Super God cashback system, Zhu Hao will not completely sever his relationship with Liu Shiqing. After all, I still have to wait for her to create more food for myself. But for now, let's put it aside. After waking up, Zhang Shuting looked at the ceiling and fell into deep thought. Another day has passed, and now it has been almost a week since I was trapped at home. During this time, the most common thing that enters your stomach is boiled water. It is said that people can go without food for many days, but cannot go without water. Having experienced it personally, Zhang Shuting knows that even if you don't eat, you can't last long. From 2 meals a day at the beginning to 1 meal every 2 days now, Zhang Shuting is so hungry that she feels dizzy and her hands and feet are weak. No. If you continue like this, you will starve to death. The excessive hunger took over all her rationality. Zhang Shuting picked up the phone, took a few deep breaths, and opened the chat interface with Zhu Hao. No matter what, let's go for it. On the other side, Zhu Hao, who was having breakfast, suddenly received new message. ID # building A1302 Sherry Zhang Shuting, do you keep your word? Zhang Shuting's proactive letter surprised Zhu Hao, but also gave him a sense of conquest. Sure enough, when people are hungry, they can do anything. If it were before, Zhu Hao would never believe that he could conquer a beautiful woman with just a few servings of instant noodles and meat. But now, this kind of thing is gradually becoming a reality. ID # free food and accommodation, of course, I never tell lies. As long as you follow me, you will have enough food. There was no need for Zhu Hao to lie about this kind of thing. ID # building A1302 Sherry Zhang Shuting, where do you live? I'll come find you. At this point, Zhang Shuting has really given it her all. I'll just treat it like I'm being pushed around by a pig. Anyway, if he doesn't say it and I don't say it, no one else will know. Zhu Hao, who was extremely alert, did not reply immediately. The reason why I have been able to say all kinds of harsh words in the owners group but have never been in trouble is largely because I did not note my house number and the other party does not know my identity. Zhu Hao knew that Zhang Shuting was willing to surrender to him because he had food in his hands, rather than surrendering willingly. If things go wrong, Zhang Shuting will cause trouble for herself in the future and post her house number in the property owners group. At that time, they will face the greed and anger of all the owners of Building A and even Fuhuali. If the owners choose violent demolition, their homes will not be able to withstand it for long without being reinforced. Zhu Hao thought for a while and replied to Zhang Shuting. ID # free food and accommodation, I'll come to you. Zhang Shuting was stunned for a moment, feeling a little strange. Although I was cautious, I couldn't refuse. After all, I was the one who took the initiative to find him. If I reject him at this time, the relationship will be completely cut off. Faced with Zhang Shuting's silence, Zhu Hao put on his coat and walked outside. Due to the appearance of the red fog, people stayed at home, and the elevator took Zhu Hao down to the 13th floor in a short while. ID # free food and accommodation, opened the door. Zhang Shuting, who was feeling uneasy at home, saw the simple 2 words, free food and drink, sent by her, and her heart suddenly skipped a beat. Here we are. Looking out through the peephole, I saw a man in a coat and a hat appear outside the door. When Zhang Shuting wanted to continue observing to see if the person outside the door was dangerous, the man outside the door suddenly raised 3 fingers. 3, 2, 1. When the man had only 1 finger left raised, Zhang Shuting trembled and hurriedly opened the door. Click. The moment the door opened, the burly man rushed in, pushed Zhang Shuting half a meter away, and closed the door casually. You just take care of food and drink. Zhang Shuting's voice trembled a little. Even though I was mentally prepared, I still couldn't help feeling scared when it really happened. Yes, it's me. As Zhu Hao spoke, he took off his coat and hat, revealing his true appearance. I've seen you. The moment she saw Zhu Hao's true appearance, Zhang Shuting's voice trembled. Although the two of them don't interact much on a daily basis, they still meet occasionally as neighbors in the same building. Compared to the panicked Zhang Shuting, Zhu Hao, as an outsider, seemed very calm. He looked Zhang Shuting up and down, and couldn't help but admire in his heart. They say that the photos posted online are all fake photos that have been photoshopped, but now it seems that this girl is obviously the opposite. She is much more beautiful in person than in the photos. At this time, Zhang Shuting was wearing a casual nightgown, with a delicate face under her fluffy hair. Even though her big eyes had dark circles, they were still very watery. Frightened by Zhu Hao, she gasped nervously, and the heavy thing on her chest began to shake up and down with the rhythm of her breathing. The most attractive thing is her pair of long white legs. Her legs are straight without much fat, and it is obvious that she exercises regularly. With a height of 1.7 meters, she is one of the tallest girls in the southern city of Jiangcheng. It's really beautiful. Zhu Hao couldn't help but admire again. Noticing Zhu Hao's eyes wandering over her, Zhang Shuting frowned and asked, what do you want to do? Zhu Hao has an ordinary appearance. Although he usually carries heavy goods in the supermarket and has built up a muscular body, his face is so ordinary that Zhang Shuting still classifies him as an ordinary man. She has been a favored girl since she was a child. What kind of handsome guy has she not seen? She would choose to ignore ordinary men like Zhu Hao when they passed by on the street. In response to Zhang Shuting's question, Zhu Hao snorted coldly. He sat down on the sofa in Zhang Shuting's house and said, "Pretend. Pretend again." Zhu Hao crossed his arms across his chest, stared at Zhang Shuting with a smirk on his face, and thought to himself. You took the initiative to find me, and now you are playing this game again. It's really interesting. I want to see what tricks you are playing. Chapter 10, Really Fragrance. Faced with Zhu Hao's unreserved gaze, Zhang Shuting couldn't help but take a few steps back. But when she saw that there was nothing behind Zhu Hao, she asked. Did you bring food? Zhu Hao looked at Zhang Shuting coldly and said. Didn't you open the door just now? You came to the door on your own initiative, and you still have the nerve to ask for food. Indeed, it was she who took the initiative to contact Zhu Hao and asked him to come over, but when Zhu Hao entered the house, she showed great resistance. Zhang Shuting, who was speechless after being scolded by Zhu Hao, simply acted like a rogue. I'm warning you, don't mess around. If you dare to touch me, I will call the police immediately. As she spoke, Zhang Shuting opened her cell phone interface, as if she was ready to call the police at any time. Call the police? Do you think that would help now? Zhu Hao was so angry at Zhang Shuting's behavior that he didn't know whether to laugh or cry. He shook his head and made a please gesture, saying, report it, just report it. You don't regret it. Now before I change my mind, you should hand over the food quickly. Who knows, I might choose to forgive you. Zhang Shuting, who decided to take a gamble, never expected that her behavior would arouse Zhu Hao's desire. Zhu Hao, who was sitting on the sofa just a moment ago, stood up suddenly, pushed Zhang Shuting to the wall, pinched Zhang Shuting's face with one hand, and said harshly, food. You still want food with this behavior? Are you still asleep? I don't have the patience to play a trick on you. Either I leave or you don't even think about getting food anymore. Zhu Hao said fiercely. Zhang Shuting was suddenly pushed against the wall and had no time to react. Then, after being warned so fiercely by Zhu Hao, her inner defenses completely collapsed. The next second, big tears flowed down. Zhang Shuting, with tears in her eyes, was crying. Well, it has been a long time since I had a proper meal. Zhang Shuting sighed weakly. This time, she completely gave up. Looking at the graceful Zhang Shuting, Zhu Hao grinned wickedly. Hearing someone laughing evilly behind her, Zhang Shuting felt both ashamed and angry. 2 hours later, Zhu Hao, with a satisfied look on his face, sat on the sofa again, closed his eyes and looked back to recall what had just happened. Zhu Hao took a deep puff of the cigarette and enjoyed it immensely. At the same time, the voice of the Super God cashback system sounded in my mind. System prompt, successfully completed Zhang Shuting. Current number of beauties bound, 2. Sure enough, this is the only way to bind a beautiful woman. Zhu Hao couldn't help but think. On the other side, Zhang Shuting's eyes were full of anger. She stared at the man in front of her who was sitting on the sofa in her home and enjoying smoking. She wished she could rush up and tear him into pieces. Damn it! Damn it, this bastard! But Zhang Shuting had no choice but to curse in her heart. Her body was already extremely weak after not eating for many days, and coupled with what had just happened, it had taken a great deal of her energy to stand up and walk. Not to mention rushing up and fighting this man. At this moment, Zhang Shuting had only one thought, that is, the man in front of her kept his promise and gave her a full meal. Seeing Zhang Shuting slumped against the wall, Zhu Hao's desire to protect her instantly surged in his heart. He stood up and walked straight towards this fragile beauty. What are you doing? Get away from me! Seeing that something was wrong, Zhang Shuting took a step back. Are you still pretending here for me? Zhu Hao showed no mercy and grabbed Zhang Shuting's little face and pinched it hard. The snow-white face instantly turned red, like blush. Get away! Get away! Don't touch me! Zhang Shuting shouted in a delicate voice, and tried to push Zhu Hao away weakly, but the strong Zhu Hao didn't move at all, instead he moved closer. Give me the food and get out of here. Seeing that she couldn't push Zhu Hao, Zhang Shuting could only choose to scold him. Food? What food? How come I don't know? Zhu Hao sneered, his face full of cunning. How could you do this? Didn't we agree on this? I give you that thing, and you give me food. You promised me that. Zhang Shuting was panicked, completely panicked. Before, both of them made verbal promises without any basis. The only proof was the chat records. Zhu Hao continued, if I don't give it to you, how can you stand up to me? Zhang Shuting, who was sitting on the ground without any strength, was filled with anger. She wanted to rush up and strangle this shameless man to death. But I have just experienced the difference in strength. I am so weak that I have no ability to resist at all. Ooh. You can't do this. After anger comes despair. When Zhang Shuting thought about the fact that she had lost both her wife and her army, she became so angry that she wished she could beat herself to death. Looking at the extremely discouraged Zhang Shuting, Zhu Hao felt extremely distressed. Any normal man would feel distressed when seeing a pitiful beauty sitting in front of him and crying. That's enough. That's enough. I hate women crying the most. Stop crying and I'll give you food. Zhu Hao stretched out his hand and, as if by magic, he produced a bag of sandwiches out of thin air. Zhang Shuting was stunned when she saw Zhu Hao conjuring up food. How did you do that? But when Zhu Hao handed the biscuits to her, Zhang Shuting's doubts disappeared instantly. Just as he was about to pounce on and snatch the biscuit, Zhu Hao flipped his hand and the biscuit disappeared out of thin air again. Want to rob? If you want to follow me, you have to follow my rules. The first rule is that you can't take what I don't give you. Do you understand? Zhu Hao said this while half squatting in front of Zhang Shuting. In order to get food as soon as possible, Zhang Shuting nodded quickly and wiped away her tears hurriedly. This time, Zhu Hao kept his promise, conjured up the cookies and handed them directly to Zhang Shuting. Zhang Shuting grabbed the biscuits without caring about her image. She bit open the packaging bag with her teeth and started eating them in big mouthfuls. It's really delicious. Zhang Shuting sighed as she ate. Don't worry, there's still plenty. Eat slowly. Zhang Shuting almost choked several times while eating so fast, so Zhu Hao produced a bottle of mineral water and handed it to her. System prompt: Zhang Shuting has consumed 1 pack of sandwich cookies, and now returns 100, which have been deposited into the infinite space. Yes, it was returned. Zhu Hao nodded with satisfaction. If you give them a packet of biscuits, you can get 100 times the return. In this way, wouldn't food be inexhaustible? Soon, Zhang Shuting finished a bag of biscuits in just a few bites. But how could she, who had been hungry for a long time, be satisfied with just a pack of biscuits? She continued to look at Zhu Hao pitifully. Don't worry, if I promise to provide you with food, I will definitely provide you with food. As Zhu Hao spoke, he took out 2 loaves of bread out of thin air again, as if performing magic. With the biscuits to fill her stomach, Zhang Shuting was still very hungry, but she did not completely lose her mind. Thinking back to the time and again this man in front of me conjured food out of thin air. An idea suddenly came to Zhang Shuting's mind. What? Don't you want to eat? Seeing Zhang Shuting's hesitation, Zhu Hao asked. After taking the bread and eating it, Zhang Shuting asked hesitantly, do you have superpowers? She also pays attention to popular posts on the internet. Among them was a popular video in which a man could create fire with his bare hands. Zhu Hao smiled and said nothing. Instead, he sat back on the sofa and looked at Zhang Shuting with a strange and playful look. This reaction, could it be that? I guessed right. Chapter 11. Follow me and you will have no worries about food and clothing. Seeing that Zhang Shuting was still looking at him, Zhu Hao asked back. Why, you don't want to eat? As he said this, he reached out to grab the bread. It was not easy to get food to eat, which was undoubtedly a good thing for Zhang Shuting, who had been hungry for several days. In order to protect her food, she turned around hastily, lowered her head and desperately stuffed the bread into her mouth. For a moment, the little mouth became puffy. System prompt: Zhang Shuting has consumed 2 loaves of bread, and now returns 200 loaves, which have been deposited into the infinite space. In my mind, the system continues to remind me that there is food cashback. The reason why Zhu Hao did not give a direct response to Zhang Shuting's question. There are only 2 reasons. Firstly, it leaves some suspense for Zhang Shuting, so that she can understand where her own strength lies. Secondly, Zhu Hao himself was not sure whether the super god cashback system was a superpower. Half an hour later, after eating 2 packets of biscuits, 3 loaves of bread and 2 bottles of mineral water in a row, Zhang Shuting felt unprecedentedly satisfied. Touching her bloated belly, she felt for the first time how happy it was to have a full meal. In an era of abundant material resources, people will have too many pursuits for food, and they want it to be nutritious enough and taste good. When disaster strikes and we face real hunger, we no longer care about so many things. Are you full? Zhu Hao, who was sitting on the sofa, asked calmly. Zhang Shuting wiped her mouth and nodded. That's fine, let's do it this way for now. Having said that, Zhu Hao stood up and walked towards the gate without looking back. You are leaving. The moment she saw Zhu Hao stand up, Zhang Shuting couldn't help but speak. If it were before, Zhang Shuting would have wanted this man to get out of her house. But now, after eating the food he gave her, she felt a strange feeling in her heart. It seemed that because of Zhu Hao's departure, Zhang Shuting always felt that something was missing in her heart. Don't want me to leave? Sensing Zhang Shuting's reluctance, Zhu Hao smiled. Zhu Hao was somewhat surprised by the contrast between Zhang Shuting's behavior before and after. He had seen similar reports on the internet, which seemed to be called Stockholm Syndrome. To put it simply, it is a complex in which the victim develops feelings for the criminal and even helps the criminal in return. I didn't expect it to actually happen in real life. No. Zhang Shuting lowered her head, looking a little shy. Despite this, Zhu Hao saw through her pretense at a glance and walked up to her and pinched her face hard. But this time, Zhang Shuting did not refuse obviously, but just dodged subconsciously. Can I still ask you for food? Zhang Shuting plucked up her courage. It all depends on how you perform. Zhu Hao had a wicked smile on his face. After that incident, Zhang Shuting no longer had the same resistance as before. Although she lost her virginity to this strange man, she thought that she would no longer have to go hungry in the future. I couldn't help feeling a little happy. As soon as he returned home, Zhu Hao received a text message from Zhang Shuting. ID #building a 1302 Sherry Zhang Shuting, thank you for today. As a highly educated person, Zhang Shuting is also very clear about the current situation. Now I'm full and satisfied, but what should I do in the future? In less than a day, the food in the stomach will be digested, and then the same mistake will occur again. It would be better to establish a good relationship with Zhu Hao now and prepare for easier request for food in the future. Seeing Zhang Shuting's change of attitude, Zhu Hao smiled faintly. ID #free food and accommodation, as long as you are obedient, you can follow me and have no worries about food and clothing. ID #building a 1302 Sherry Zhang Shuting, yes, I know. In response to Zhu Hao's teasing, Zhang Shuting was less resistant and more accepting. Sitting at home, Zhu Hao closed his eyes, and an extremely empty space gradually emerged in his mind. Inside, food was piled up as high as small mountains. There are various snacks in sealed packages, potato chips, jerky, nuts. There is also chilled beef, chicken, lamb and so on. Various fresh fruits, such as apples, watermelons, bananas, oranges, etc., occupy a lot of area. Not far away, there appeared several newly generated food hills. There are matcha cakes, sandwich cookies, and bread. And all of this was exactly what Liu Shiqing and Zhang Shuting got in return after their consumption. Just by binding Zhang Shuting, the amount of food returned soared at a doubling rate. What if I bind a few more? Or even dozens or hundreds? How couldn't he imagine what a spectacular situation the materials in the infinite space would become at that time? To exaggerate, by then he alone would be able to feed all the survivors in the world. The prerequisite is to bind enough beauties so that the system can be continuously upgraded. Zhu Hao came back to his senses and shifted his attention to this magical, super god return system. It is clearly indicated on the operation interface. The current system is still at level 1, which means the return multiplier is still 100. Upgrading to level 2 requires 2 new bindings. Now Zhang Shuting has been newly bound, which means that there is only one spot left for upgrading. As I recall, there are still a few beauties in our building. During the time he worked in the supermarket, Zhu Hao got off work in the early hours of the morning every day. By chance, he met many beautiful women in the elevator. There was a soft girl wearing cool clothes, coming downstairs to get takeout. There are also sophisticated white-collar workers who just got off work and are going home with a heavy workload. In the past, Zhu Hao would have chosen to stay away from these beauties when he saw them. After all, in the past, if you dared to look at a beautiful woman for even a second, you would be posted online and judged by everyone in a matter of minutes. But now, this kind of thing has basically disappeared. Zhang's shooting went from resistance to acceptance of herself. The short time it took far exceeded Zhu Hao's expectations. This also made Zhu Hao's confidence surge to an unprecedented level. Thinking of this, he immediately ran to the owner's group and was about to send a message to recruit beauties. Ding dong, a message suddenly popped up on the screen. Brother, I'm going to his house downstairs, I'll start a live broadcast for you now. The person who came was none other than the colleague who had previously taken credit for beating up manager Wang. Arrived so soon. This kid is really trying too hard for a bite of food. However, despite being shocked, Zhu Hao did not say much, but simply replied with a okay. Soon, the other party sent a video link. Open it and take a look. In the video, a man with heavy breathing is holding a mobile phone and walking step by step in the red fog. In a short while, the man passed through the red fog and arrived at a high-end residential building. Zhu Hao, who often ran errands for manager Wang before, recognized it at a glance. This was the commercial housing where Wang Heibo worked. Zhu Hao chuckled and immediately forwarded the live broadcast link to the company group. The next second, the entire company group exploded instantly. Many people thought that Zhu Hao was just joking, but they didn't expect that he was serious. What is even more shocking is that there are actually people willing to break through the red fog and run to other people's homes to cause trouble in this environment. Soon, the live streamer broke into manager Wang's home and pulled out Wang Heibo, who was hiding under the bed. Boom boom boom. The heavy punch landed, and Wang Heibo's face soon became red and swollen. Manager Wang, who was beaten like a pig, still refused to give up. He stood up and said, You dare to hit me? I will fire you when I get back. You won't get a penny of your salary. I will also sue you and put you in jail. Just wait. This completely angered the live streamer. He was originally just collecting money to help people get rid of disasters, but the anger in his heart was instantly ignited. It's come to this point, and you're still being stubborn? I've disliked you for a long time. You think you can fly to the sky just because you're a bad manager, right? Today, I'm going to teach you a lesson on behalf of all the colleagues in the company who have been exploited by you. Who do you think you are, taking a feather as a token of authority? Even if you have this title, you're just an employee. Why are you so arrogant? The enraged live streamer suddenly rushed forward and punched him again and again. If it had happened before, someone would have definitely held him back. But now, separated by the internet, no one said much. In the past, I had no way to vent my anger due to my work. Now there are people to serve as his mouthpiece and thugs, and those employees who were once bullied by manager Wang are cheering in the group. Well done. This kind of scab deserves a good lesson. The fight was so good and wonderful, this bitch deserves to die. Chapter 12. Accepting a gift does not mean I agree. As manager Wang was beaten up, the live video broadcast came to an abrupt end. A group of colleagues who were interested in watching the fun also started chatting. Some people are worried that the live streamer might beat someone up just for a bite of food. If things go wrong, he might end up in jail. Some people also support live streamers, saying there is nothing wrong with doing it in order to survive. More often than not, they were pointing out Zhu Hao's mistakes. I think he shouldn't have done this in such a critical time, as it has prevented his colleagues from uniting. These people who stood on the moral high ground soon began to criticize Zhu Hao. They thought he should atone for his sins by sharing all the supplies stored in his home. I think that this kind of behavior that is not conducive to unity should be punished accordingly. At this critical moment, we should unite even more. Now everyone will vote. If you think Zhu Hao should donate all the supplies to offset this mistake, please raise your hand. In an instant, almost everyone sent a message saying agree. In less than half an hour, almost everyone in the company group agreed to let Zhu Hao take out the supplies. Some persuade, while others threaten. Okay, the voting is over. On behalf of all employees of the company, I order you to donate all the food immediately to help everyone get through this difficult time. However, we are also very kind. You can keep your own share, but not more. Otherwise, we have the right to take it back. The host spoke indignantly, and everyone in the audience was filled with passion. It seems that we have forgotten who the real owner of the food is. Zhu Hao has experienced this kind of thing more than once. Every time he sees someone standing on the moral high ground and liking to point fingers at others, he always has only one response: get out of here as soon as possible. Liu Shiqing, who was hiding at home and watching the entire live broadcast, felt mixed emotions. She couldn't believe that Zhu Hao, who used to be a coward, could be so tough this time. Could it be that this guy is really capable? Did I misjudge him before? Liu Shiqing lowered her head and murmured. No, I'm such an accurate judge of people, how could I be wrong? Zhu Hao is just a stinky loser. At this time, Suyujie came over and looked at the video Zhu Hao sent to the group. She said with disdain. You don't really believe it, do you? Maybe Zhu Hao is working with your leader, and the three of them are just acting. After being instructed by her best friend, Liu Shiqing once again showed a disdainful expression. Har, yes, only a fool like this would be fooled by him, I don't believe it. In her impression, Zhu Haoran was not handsome, not tall, and had little money. He was at most an average man in the company. Liu Shiqing has seen too many men of this type. Many of the suitors behind her are of this type. If they were placed in a crowd, they would be forgotten after just one glance. But how could such an unknown and cowardly man dare to ask people to beat up manager Wang? This was obviously acting. He posted the video to the company group just to show off his strength so that you can admire him. Didn't he pursue you before? I think he just wants to re-establish his image in your heart. Those stinky men just like to show off their strength in front of their sweethearts. Her best friend Suyujie gave a very clear analysis. So what should I do now? Liu Shiqing asked doubtfully. Don't be anxious. Let him show off first, and then we can find a chance to hint at him. Soon he will fly towards you like a bee smelling honey. Men are all like this. After hearing what her best friend Suyujie said, Liu Shiqing was secretly happy. Ding dong. Just then, Liu Shiqing received a message. ID #VGE Da Yingxiong, Shiqing, are you there? Liu Shiqing recognized this man. He was a colleague in the same group in the company. His name was Xu Fei and he was a very honest man. However, apart from work-related exchanges, the two of them basically have no interaction on a daily basis. It can be said that they are just pure colleagues. Who is this? Seeing Liu Shiqing frowning, Suyujie asked curiously. A colleague in the same group. Liu Shiqing said casually. I come to you at this time. I have no business to visit you. Are you trying to show me your kindness? Smelling a strange scent, Suyujie said with a sinister smile. Thinking that this was a possibility, Liu Shiqing nodded and replied. ID #Lilisher, what is the matter? As soon as I clicked send, the other party replied immediately. ID #, it's nothing, I just saw you posted on WeChat moments saying that you haven't eaten for a long time. I just got some food and wanted to send some to you. I wonder if it's convenient for you. Just got your food. At this time, where can I get food? Liu Shiqing was a little surprised and wanted to know the answer immediately. But due to her self-imposed aloof image, she did not reply immediately. Instead, she waited for a few minutes before slowly replying. ID #Lilisha, okay, but how did you get the food? After receiving the reply, Xu Fei replied immediately. ID #, I got it from Zhu Hao. I just did something for him and he sent me food using a drone. Recalling the live video broadcast that Zhu Hao had just sent in the group, Liu Shiqing reacted immediately. It turned out that Xu Fei was Zhu Hao's thug, helping him beat up manager Wang. No wonder their voice in the video sounded so familiar. Liu Shiqing suddenly understood. ID #, where is your home? I happen to be outside now. Can I take it there for you? Liu Shiqing was still worrying about how to get the food back, but unexpectedly the other party suddenly said they would deliver the food to your door. This made Liu Shiqing and Suyujie burst into laughter instantly. ID #Lily Poetry, okay, my home is in. After reporting the address, Liu Shiqing did not forget to add a sentence. ID #Lily Poetry, but it's not convenient for me to come downstairs now, can you bring it up to me? ID #VGE Da Yingxiong, okay, no problem, just leave it to me. Liu Shiqing is completely confident about Xu Fei, an honest man. This loser is even more cowardly than Zhu Hao on weekdays. He would lower his head and take a deed when he sees her. If she wants to control such a man, wouldn't it be a matter of minutes? Thinking of this, she couldn't help but laugh out loud. In this case, we can make good use of Xu Fei and make him willingly work for you. Best friend Suyujie said fiercely. Not long after, there was a knock on the door. When he opened the door, he saw Xu Fei with a red face appearing at the door of Liu Shiqing's house. His breathing became extremely rapid because he had been holding his breath and walking in the red fog for a long time. However, Liu Shiqing and Su Yujie did not notice it, but instead focused their attention on the large bag of food in Xu Fei's hand. When Liu Shiqing saw the bulging food bag, she immediately burst into smiles. She never imagined that there would be someone so stupid that he would be willing to risk his life to bring her food at such a critical moment. Liu Shiqing took the food bag and said with a smile, "Thank you so much. You are such a good person." Just as he was about to close the door, Xu Fei hurriedly said, wait a moment." Liu Shiqing, who had long anticipated what the other party wanted to say, pretended to be ignorant and asked with a smile, "What's the matter? Can you be my girlfriend? I will protect you." After hesitating for a few seconds, Xu Fei finally plucked up the courage to speak. "I'm sorry, I don't want to fall in love right now. I think it's fine right now. Thank you for the food you brought today. You can go home soon. You are such a good person." Liu Shiqing grinned and closed the door. Xu Fei, who was standing at the door, was stunned for a moment. After a long time, he reacted and left dejectedly. Only after confirming through the cat's eye that Xu Fei had left did Liu Shiqing breathe a sigh of relief. At this moment, the expression on her face changed immediately. The gentle smile from before disappeared, replaced by a look of contempt. "Bar. That's disgusting. I've seen this kind of trick many times." Sitting on the sofa, the two of them happily took out the food from the bag one by one. Su Yujie on the side teased, "You're really going too far. Others worked so hard to deliver the food, and you just said thank you." Tearing open the food bag and putting the beef jerky into her mouth, Liu Shiqing said with a satisfied smile, "What else? He thinks that accepting the gift means I agree to be his girlfriend. Men nowadays are really stupid." Chapter 13 Survivors in the City. Naturally, Zhu Hao had no way of knowing what happened between Xu Fei and Liu Shiqing. But this matter was conveyed to Zhu Hao in another way. System prompt: Liu Shiqing has consumed 5 pieces of beef jerky, and now returns 500 pieces, which have been deposited into the infinite space. At this moment, the system prompt sound suddenly appeared in Zhu Hao's mind. Beef jerky. She actually still has some left. Feeling a little surprised, Zhu Hao immediately opened the infinite space. When he saw the pile of beef jerky in the boundless space, he suddenly understood. This was exactly the reward he had just given to Xu Fei. Unexpectedly, Xu Fei gave the food to Liu Shiqing in a blink of an eye. He's really a bootlicker. He worked so hard for me, but as soon as he got the food, he handed it over to Liu Shiqing. Now the prices outside have soared to unimaginable levels. The instant noodles and beef jerky that Zhu Hao gave to Xu Fei are enough to make everyone jealous. Originally, Xu Fei could have enjoyed himself comfortably at home. But for the happiness of their goddess, he was willing to starve himself. Zhu Hao extremely despised this thankless behavior. It seems that this woman Liu Shiqing is quite capable. Since she couldn't get any benefit from me, she turned to other backup guys to ask for food. Zhu Hao thought secretly. But Liu Shiqing will never know that no matter what food she consumes, it will be fed back to Zhu Hao in a way that is amplified 100-fold. This also means that Zhu Hao will never suffer any loss. After a simple lunch, Zhu Hao, feeling free, returned to his room and started tinkering with things. In his plan, in addition to exercise, there was another important task: exploring the red fog. Of course, knowing that there is danger in the red fog, Zhu Hao would not be stupid enough to run down by himself. In the modern society with advanced technology, there are many good tools that can replace human hands. And drones are one of them. Before the red fog got out of control, Zhu Hao spent a huge amount of money to purchase a batch of drones, considering that he would be trapped at home for a long time in the future. In addition to being equipped with state-of-the-art cameras, it is also equipped with cargo carrying capabilities. The reward promised to Xu Fei was delivered via drone. Coming to the balcony and looking at the red darkness outside, Zhu Hao sighed heavily. What a shame! What a shame! Although I was mentally prepared, I couldn't help but feel sad when I saw the city become like this. Pushing the joystick, the drone on the ground slowly flew up with a vibration sound. In just a flash, it flew away into the distance, and below it was a city submerged in a sea of red fog. Back indoors, the TV connected to the drone began playing the images captured by the camera. Fly out of Fuhuali Community and arrive outside the community as if you are in an empty space. At this time, the streets were completely covered by red fog, and even the bottom floors of tall buildings were all submerged in red fog. The entire river city seemed to be suspended on a sea of scarlet clouds. As the drone flew over a high-end office building, figures quickly came to the window and waved continuously, as if trying to attract the drone's attention. Not only that, other floors of the office building were soon crowded with people. They were wearing shirts and trousers, and some girls were wearing decent long skirts. Oh my god, there are still so many people. Ju Hao couldn't help but exclaimed. Before the red fog got out of control, they were all white-collar workers working in office buildings. They enjoyed sitting in their offices every day and looking down at the passers-by on the street. After the red fog got out of control, these high-end office buildings that they were once proud of turned into steel cages, trapping them one by one. The drone continued to fly deeper into the city. At this time, an oval open space located in the center of the city caught his attention. Ju Hao remembered that it was Jiangcheng Gymnasium. It is an integrated sports and entertainment center built at a huge cost by Jiangcheng municipal government. Its area is as large as 6 footballs. In the open space of the gymnasium, scattered tents and mattresses can be vaguely seen. Black smoke was still coming out of the burnt-out barrel. Survivors. Ju Hao was a little surprised. All the buildings, without exception, were flooded with red fog on the first and second floors. The gymnasium, which was also built on flat ground, was not affected at all, and there were still people living inside. Could it be that the glass exterior wall is blocking the red fog? Thinking of the dense glass doors outside the gymnasium, Ju Hao couldn't help but think. After flying around the city, Ju Hao took the drone back only after it indicated that the battery was low. Back in the room, Ju Hao wrote down everything he had seen in the video. The current situation is that most areas of Jiangcheng are covered by red fog, but there are still many survivors. They escaped to high places and stayed away from the red fog to survive. We don't know what effect staying in the red fog for a long time will have on the human body. At the same time, I suspect that the sealed glass can prevent the invasion of red fog, but this statement needs to be verified. Mark the places where there are still survivors on the map one by one. After a while, dozens of red circles appeared on the Jiangcheng map. While Ju Hao was still busy, his cell phone suddenly rang. When he picked it up, he saw that someone had tagged him in the owner group. This person was none other than Aunt Liu Mai, whom he had scolded earlier. ID # Building A, Room 706, late spring, the blood mist is about to spread up, move your things downstairs immediately to block it for me. Liu Mai's tone was like giving an order. Ju Hao noticed that she also tagged a lot of people in the group, most of whom were young guys in the group. But the result was obvious, not many people responded. Just when Ju Hao was wondering why this woman came to him when his identity was clearly not exposed, the young guys she tagged complained one after another. Who the hell are you? How dare you order me around? I'm almost starving to death, how can I have the energy to move things? Are you kidding me? Liu Mai got angry when she was rejected on the spot. ID # Building A, 706, the late spring, what are you guys arguing about? What's your attitude? I'm doing this for the sake of the neighbors, right? If we block the red fog, won't everyone benefit? ID # DA Jun GE, Building A, 1102, young people nowadays are really petty. They should lend a helping hand in times of crisis and not care about so many other people's gains and losses. It's disgraceful to care about everything. Brother DA Jun, who also likes to use moral blackmail, also joined in at this time. Started criticizing the young people for their mistakes. Fuck you, stop taking advantage of your age. I haven't eaten properly for 3 days and I don't even have the strength to walk. You still want me to do hard labor? No way. You all hide the food and eat it yourself, and now you want us to work? You are dreaming. That's right, if you have the guts, just send some food over here. After I'm full, I can do whatever I want. There was a sudden complaint among the owners group. ID # Building A, 1102, Dejunj, stop talking nonsense. The food rations in my house are only enough for us to eat. Some people secretly hide a lot of food and eat it alone. ID # Building A, Room 706, late spring, at food and lodging are provided. Now is a critical moment. I order you to obey orders immediately and hand over all the food. Liu Mai's tone left no room for doubt. He looks like a leader. Now, Zhu Hao finally saw through her methods. As the neighborhood committee liaison officer, Liu Mai was usually responsible for delivering notices door to door. She knew exactly who lived in which household in the building. The reason why she only tagged the young guys was to provoke them, so that Zhu Hao, who had secretly hidden a large amount of food, would become the target of public criticism and put him in a dilemma. Even those who wanted to curry favor with Zhu Hao in the past chose to remain silent at this time. No one wants to be the first to stand out and be attacked by neighbors. Everyone's attention was focused on Zhu Hao, the person involved. If it were someone else, faced with being besieged by a crowd, most would choose to mind their own business, listen to the other party's instructions, and obediently hand over the food in their hands. Zhu Hao knew that Aunt Liu Mai wanted to use this trick to force Zhu Hao to submit. Looking at the noisy group of owners, a hint of coldness appeared on Zhu Hao's lips. You want me to surrender? That's impossible. Chapter 14, Against Me, Against Everyone. Ignoring Liu Mai, Zhu Hao continued to send the same message in the group. ID hash at everyone, I am looking for beauties, providing food and accommodation, unlimited food supply, only for beauties. If you are interested, please chat privately. Seeing that she was being ignored, Liu Mai's anger was instantly ignited. ID hash building A706, late spring at free food and accommodation, what do you mean by this? How dare you ignore my words? Zhu Hao sneered and mocked directly. ID hash guaranteed food and accommodation, oh? Are you talking to me? I didn't know. I thought it was just someone's dog barking there. On weekdays in the neighborhood, she is the only one who takes advantage of others, and she has never lost in an argument with old ladies of the same age. Now in the owner's group, Liu Mai was contradicted by Zhu Hao again, and her face turned red with anger. ID hash building A, room 706, late spring, boy, watch your mouth. Asking you to hand over the food is an order, and you must obey. Many people would be frightened when they heard it was an order. In school, we obey the teacher's instructions. In society, we obey the boss's orders. People who are used to obeying will be more or less timid when they hear the word command. It is precisely because of this that Liu Mai can command without restraint. Unexpectedly, Zhu Hao was not intimidated, but instead directed his attack on her. ID hash guaranteed food and accommodation, order, whose order is this? Yours. Everyone knows who Liu Mai is. We live in the same community. Relying on the fact that his son was a cadre in the neighborhood committee, he used this relationship to get a Sineki job as a neighborhood committee liaison officer. The purpose is to satisfy her own selfish desires. Liu Mai was not willing to be outdone this time. Relying on the many people behind her, she spoke loudly. ID hash building A, room 706, late spring, I am now representing all the owners of our community. If you dare to oppose me, you are opposing everyone. You cannot afford the consequences. All owners. Hearing this word, Zhu Hao smiled. He didn't know about others, but there was at least one person who was opposed to this matter, and that was Zhang Shooting in the group. What's more, this kind of representative who appeared without voting an election is just a title that Liu Mai gave herself. ID hash, there are so many people in the group who have food, why are you just looking for me? ID hash, you think I'm easy to bully, right? What about the old man who usually dances square dance with you? Don't they have hidden food at home? ID hash, what? You can ask me to donate food, but you can't ask them to donate food. Everyone knew who Zhu Hao was talking about. Xiao Jun, whose online ID is Da Jun Ge, is one of them. He is also retired and resting at home. When he has nothing to do, he likes to occupy the basketball court and dance square dance with Liu Mai and others. Liu Mai's face suddenly turned red when Zhu Hao saw through her thoughts. Asking her to share food with her dance partners. Liu Mai didn't have the nerve to do that. What's more, Liu Mai has long been accustomed to taking advantage of her age and seniority. In her opinion, young people should give in to them. ID hash building A706, late spring, you can give it or not, it doesn't matter if you are one person. Our community does not welcome people like you who have no sense of public morality. ID hash building A, room 706, late spring, what's more, I am not targeting anyone. They are all old, so just let them go. You young people just don't know how to respect the elderly. You are so fussy about small things. You really have no understanding at all. ID hash building A, room 706, the late spring. If you continue to slander me like this, I will call the police. ID hash Darjuan, building A, 1102. Young people nowadays are getting worse and worse. They have no compassion and are always focused on immediate benefits. When I was young, I did good deeds anonymously. Young people nowadays have not learned anything good. If you donate the food, we will thank you very much. At this time, Brother Darjuan also came to help. They were all in the same boat, so naturally they spoke up for each other. For these selfish old men who only think about giving to others and never mention themselves, Zhu Hao had nothing but contempt. They talk about all kinds of benevolence, righteousness, and morality all the time, as if you don't do what they say, you will be unforgivable. ID hash building A, room 706, late spring, and those guys who were tagged by me, I don't care what method you use, get down here immediately and move things to block the fog, otherwise you will be held responsible. ID hash building A, number 706, the late spring, you have to understand, if you don't do it, you're not offending me, but all the owners of the entire community. In order to enhance the effect, Liu Mai moved out all the owners again. This trick cannot threaten Zhu Hao, but it is naturally no problem to threaten the young owner. When they heard the words offend all the owners, some timid young people immediately took action. Although they were extremely unwilling, they did not dare to go against all the owners. Only Zhu Hao remained indifferent. He sat leisurely on the sofa and ate snacks. Without revealing her identity, Liu Mai couldn't do anything to herself even if she was angry. Thinking that she could only stand there and stare, Zhu Hao couldn't help but laugh out loud. Yao Yao at home has been very worried recently. As the owner of a women's clothing store, she has not been open for half a month because of the appearance of the red mist. For someone in her line of work, failing to open the business means losing money. But if it was just money, she wouldn't be so worried. The problem now is that there is not much food left. After spending so much time in the store, Yao Yao's home in Fuhuali Community is just a place to sleep. As for food, there was very little. Apart from a few bottles of drinks and snacks like peanuts, there was nothing else to eat. At the beginning, she could still spend some money in the owner group and buy some food from others. But as time goes by, money is no longer of much use. Food has gradually become hard currency. She was bored at home and held her mobile phone all the time. She has read every message in the owner's group. The man named Free Food and Lodging has unknowingly attracted Yao Yao's attention. This confident man is not afraid of anyone he faces. Even Aunt Liu Mai, who always bullies the weak and fears the strong, was defeated in this verbal battle. I looked up the photos that Free Food and Accommodation had posted and saw the piles of food as high as small mountains. Yao Yao was extremely shocked. At this time, everyone was worrying about food, but he could lie comfortably at home and eat different delicious meals for every meal. I have to say, Yao Yao was moved. Does he really have so much food? I can find a way to ask him for some. When it comes to appearance, Yao Yao believes she is impeccable. As the owner of a women's clothing store, she is also the exclusive model for her own store. No matter how busy she is, she never cuts down on diet and exercise in order to wear beautiful clothes. Yao Yao is already 29 years old, although she is not as old as the younger sister. But it does not affect the release of her charm at all. The sense of maturity that her age brings to her is no less attractive than the youthfulness and childishness of young girls. What's more, many men on the internet now like mature women. Yao Yao asked herself if she had the confidence to conquer this man and make him bring her food willingly. Having said that, he sent a friend request to Free Food and Drink. Chapter 15: The Big Sister Living Upstairs. For a man who stays at home, games are essential. Especially fighting games can arouse his desire. It took Zhu Hao a week to finish Cyberpunk 2177. Looking at the words cleared on the screen, he breathed a sigh of relief. No need to worry about time, no need to worry about the impact on your life, and no need to worry about missing meals. Just devote yourself to the game and enjoy the pleasure it brings you. When you are hungry, take out food from the infinite space and eat it. When I'm tired, I just climb into bed and fall asleep. This kind of fairy tale life that only exists in fantasy is now actually lived by Zhu Hao. It's so cool. Soon, he turned his attention to Black Myth, Ape God. As one of the top 3A masterpieces in China, its popularity far exceeded that of other works of the same period before it was released. On the day of its release, it set a terrifying record of 50 million people online at the same time. At that time, Zhu was assigned to work the night shift in a department store. He would fall asleep as soon as he got home every day. He didn't even have time to play games or even use his mobile phone. Now, Zhu no longer has to worry about anything. He immediately inserts the game cartridge and prepares to start a new adventure. Suddenly, the cell phone rang. Zhu looked down and found it was an unfamiliar account. Guan and I found out applies to add you as a friend. Zhu remembered that he had seen this ID in the owners group before. But the other party doesn't talk much, and the two of them don't have much communication. As soon as he added the friend, Zhu noticed the other party's house number. 3104. Isn't this the floor above me? Zhu lives in room 4 on the 30th floor, which means that the two of them live on the same floor. Who knows, at this moment, the other person is also sitting on the sofa playing with his mobile phone. Open the other person's circle of friends. One by one, the clothing photos caught Zhu's eyes. There are long skirts, short skirts, long pants, and shorts. Next to each photo, there are lines of size and style descriptions. Well, this is a women's clothing store owner. Zhu nodded and said. What surprised him was that the model in every fashion photo was the same person. The model in the photo is a plump woman with shoulder-length curly hair, straight and strong slender thighs, and her proud breasts are jaw-dropping. Plus nice clothes and exquisite makeup. It makes her less naive and more mature. At this moment, an automatic prompt from the system suddenly came to Zhu's mind. Name, Yao Yao. Age, 29. Occupation, women's clothing store owner. Appearance, 8 points, 90% similarity between real appearance and photo. Character, 7 points. Womanhood, 8 points, divorced, no children, no relationship after divorce. Comprehensive score, 8 points. Tip, if it meets the requirements of this system, it can be bound. The score is 7, which is neither low nor high. Just meets the system's standards. But in reality, this kind of woman is also top-notch. A plump figure and mature charm are the dreams of many men. What Zhu didn't expect was that she was divorced at the age of 29. Fortunately, the other party has no children, which reduces some trouble. A divorced older sister. Zhu couldn't help but say. ID building A3104 Ni tomato, hi, brother. Soon, the other party took the initiative to send greetings. Such a direct beginning surprised Zhu. Oh, what? You did this right away. Interesting. Zhu smiled and responded to what the other party said. ID free food and accommodation. What can I do for you, sister? At this time, most of the people who come to me are asking for food. Zhu was also well aware of this matter. Anyway, I'm a little tired of playing games now, so I just want to tease you and relieve your boredom. Zhu said with a wicked smile. ID building A3104 Ni tomatoes, brother, you are so fierce. You dare to scold Liu Mai like this in the group. Aren't you afraid of offending her? The other party sent a shocked emoticon. ID free food and accommodation, I have never been afraid. This was the first time in his life that he had been praised like this, and Zhu was secretly delighted. ID building A3104 Ni tomato, where does my brother live? The house number is not even mentioned in the owner group. It's so mysterious. There was a strong curiosity in the other party's words. Hiding his identity is Zhu's greatest confidence at present. ID what? You want to come see me? ID building A3104 Ni tomato, yes, give me the address and I will come to find you. Yao Yao's directness was beyond Zhu's expectations. As expected of a sister, you are very direct. Compared to the reserved girls of the same age, women of this age tend to be more relaxed and direct when chatting. ID sister, you are so brave, aren't you afraid that I am a bad person? ID building A3104 Ni tomato, don't be afraid, I know you are not a bad person. ID oh? You know this too? Did you secretly follow me? ID building A3104 Ni tomato, I am not afraid even if he is a bad brother. I am not a vegetarian. Yao Yao was able to respond accurately and appropriately to every reply from Zhu Hao. He hadn't had such a comfortable chat for a long time. No one goes to the temple unless he has something to do. Zhu Hao knew his own weight. There must be something strange about the other party being so proactive. Just after the two chatted for a while, Yao Yao asked about Zhu Hao's address again. ID hash building A31041 NI tomato, so when should I come to see you? You stinky little brother. Now, Zhu Hao had to be alert. The conversation just now had already made him a little drunk. Fortunately, he stopped in time, otherwise the other party would have tricked him into revealing his home address in a matter of minutes. This woman is not simple. Zhu Hao thought secretly. Looking at the bright sunshine outside the window, it is exactly noon now. Touching his empty stomach, Zhu Hao decided to ignore her for a while and go make lunch first. When the meaty spaghetti and pizza came out of the oven, Zhu Hao picked up his phone again, took a photo and sent it over. ID hash free food and accommodation, it's time to eat. Yao Yao, who was starving at home, became much more energetic the moment she saw the photo. How is this possible? I'm eating pizza. She was so shocked that her mouth was watering. At first, she didn't believe that there was really so much food in the free food and accommodation package. After all, most people in the community were starving, and at this time someone jumped out and said that he had so much food that he couldn't finish it. No one would believe it. But when she saw the real time noted under the photo sent by free food and lodging, she had to believe that this guy really had food. Yao Yao knew that the other party had already looked through her circle of friends and browsed through their various beautiful photos in it. In the past, men would fall in love with me after seeing my photos. But this man who provided food and lodging could remain so calm, which made Yao Yao puzzled. Is he gay? Yao Yao couldn't help but start to doubt. But what she didn't know was that if it had happened before, Zhu Hao would most likely have fallen, being led by the other party. But at this time, Zhu Hao had already conquered Zhang shooting. This woman who scored higher than Yao Yao has also become his woman. Now, no matter how beautiful a woman he sees, Zhu Hao will not rush towards her blindly. Unless you encounter a stunning, full-level being with 10 points. Chapter 16 Sisters Invitation. It seems we need to step up our efforts. As the owner of a women's clothing store, Yao Yao often flatters her customers. She knows very well how to make the other party willingly give for her. Although the target this time is a man, Yao Yao is still confident that she can win him over. ID hash building A31041 NI tomato, wow, there are pizza and pasta, you are so nice. Every word the other person said revealed envy. ID hash free food and accommodation, not very good, the pizza crust is too hard. At this time, Zhu Hao sent a complaining emoticon. The moment these words came out of her mouth, Yao Yao was stunned. Fuck, you have food to eat but you're still complaining. Isn't this pure Versailles? Yao Yao couldn't help but curse. Everyone is worrying about food now, and you have food to eat yet you are still complaining. But even though she wanted to curse, Yao Yao would naturally not utter such abusive words. ID hash building A31041 NI tomato, I'm so envious. I haven't eaten for a long time. It would be great if I had something to eat at this time. Yao Yao was full of expectations when she sent this message. Any man who likes her will take the initiative to invite her or send food to her. However, Zhu Hao's reply surprised Yao Yao. ID hash free food and accommodation, that's really miserable. Zhu Hao smiled. Yao Yao's words were very clear. She just wanted him to bring her food. He had experienced this kind of chat talk with Liu Shiqing before. If you are not careful, it is easy to fall into the opponent's trap. Thinking back to when I was pursuing Liu Shiqing, as long as she said she needed something, I would rush to give it to her. Thinking back on those days when I was a bootlicker, it's really funny. Obviously, Yao Yao was also confused by Zhu Hao's unconventional conversation. Seeing Zhu Hao's totally ungrateful reply, Yao Yao was immediately furious. ID hash building A31041 NI tomato, I'm so bored lately and I can't go out. How do you usually relieve boredom? ID hash free food and drink, play games and eat. As he spoke, Zhu Hao casually sent over the photos of the game and the delicious food. The moment she received the photo, Yao Yao felt as if the other person was in the same time and space as herself. Like most people, she was worried every day, constantly checking her phone to see when help would arrive. But Zhu Hao didn't take it seriously at all and was still focused on playing games. But when Yao Yao saw the large number of food photos that Zhu Hao sent her later, she couldn't help but take a deep breath. Oh my god! This is too much. How is it possible that he has so much food? Yao Yao was so shocked that she was stunned for a long time before she came back to her senses. No. No. We have to take him down. Thinking of the mountain of food at home with free food and shelter, Yao Yao made up her mind. ID hash building A31041 NI tomato. My brother is doing pretty well, do you want to come and play with me? I am bored when I am alone at home. So direct, inviting me to your house right now? As a normal man, seeing the other party taking the initiative, it would be difficult for anyone else to resist the temptation. What's more, Yao Yao's figure is extremely good. Although she is no longer at an advantage in age and is divorced, it does not affect the temptation brought by her voluptuous figure at all. Taking a deep breath, Zhu Hao tried to calm himself down. Now I have plenty of food, anyone would want to get close to me, not to mention a beautiful woman. Don't be dazzled by the temptation in front of you. Zhu Hao calmed down and came back to his senses. I almost made a mistake because of my impulse. As the saying goes, one who eats someone's food will be soft-hearted, and one who receives someone's gifts will be obliged to return the favor. Once you take the initiative to go to the other party, you will most likely be controlled by the other party. They might even threaten him because of this, which would be totally not worth it for Zhu Hao. Don't be in a hurry. I'll play with you slowly. Zhu Hao sneered and replied. ID hash free food and drink, definitely next time. After saying that, he threw his phone aside and started playing games. Seeing Zhu Hao's reply, Yao Yao was stunned. She couldn't believe that the other party could actually reply like this. Are you kidding me? Can you tolerate this? Yao Yao, who was completely convinced by Zhu Hao's shocking words, felt as if countless crows were flying in front of her. Speechless. Speechless. I am really speechless. I've been so direct, I was just short of saying that I'd deliver it to your door, but you can still endure this. Could he be a gay? ID hash building A31041 NI tomato. What are you busy with, brother? Is he so busy? ID hash building A31041 NI tomato. I am so annoyed. I haven't exercised for a long time and I have gained weight again. Unwilling to give up, Yao Yao kept initiating new chats, but no matter what she said, Zhu Hao ignored her, as if he had disappeared from the face of the earth. Only Yao Yao was left there performing a one-man show. Xu Fei felt a little unwell when he returned home. He had earlier helped Zhu Hao to beat up Wang Heibo, and later went to bring food to Liu Shiqing. Although he was prepared and always put on an oxygen mask before entering the red fog. But after returning home, he still felt some difficulty breathing. It felt like there was something stuck in my throat that I couldn't spit out or swallow. Maybe I'm too tired. Xu Fei was in a daze and didn't care about his hunger. He took off his gas mask, turned around and ran to the bedroom, where he fell asleep. During the time he was asleep, a hint of red light appeared on his neck. The red light, winding like snakes, flowed rapidly in Xu Fei's body, and in the blink of an eye, it spread all over his body. It's like the body is covered with red cracks. At first glance, this terrifying red color is exactly the same as the strange red fog outside. System prompt: Zhang Shooting has consumed 2 bags of nuts, and now 200 nuts are returned and have been deposited into the infinite space. Just when Zhu Hao was having fun playing the game, the voice of the system suddenly came from his mind. You've even eaten nuts. It looks like there's not much food left. Before leaving last time, Zhu Hao specially gave her some food. According to the system's prompt, Zhang Shooting had already consumed instant noodles at noon yesterday. Now that she was eating nuts, it meant that she didn't have much food left. Sure enough, half an hour later, Zhang Shooting took the initiative to send a message. ID hash building A1302 Sherry Chung Chuting, are you there? Do you have any food? Compared to her previous shyness, Zhang Shooting is now more direct. Zhu Hao didn't reply, but just sent a few photos of food over. There are steak pasta, sushi ramen, and braised chicken legs. When she saw the abundant food in the photo, Zhang Shooting was stunned again. Although she was mentally prepared, she couldn't help but feel shocked every time she saw the photos sent by Free Food and Lodging. How much food has he stored? It seems like he can never finish it all. Zhang Shooting exclaimed. However, no matter how surprised I was, the most important thing now was to solve the problem of hunger. ID hash building a 1302 Sherry Zhang shooting, I want food, can you give it to me? After what happened before, Zhang shooting also knew what price she would have to pay to exchange food with free food and accommodation. But before Zhu Hao could speak, Zhang shooting's reply surprised him. ID hash building a 1302 Sherry Zhang shooting, I can exchange information for you. Information about you. Chapter 17 My words are the rules. Intelligence? Or about me? Zhu Hao was somewhat surprised by Zhang shooting's reply. The other party doesn't even know my name or where I live, so how can I get any information about myself? Just look at what you're doing. ID hash free food and accommodation, what's the matter? After getting Zhu Hao's affirmation, Zhang shooting quickly replied. ID hash building a 1302, Sherry Zhang shooting, some people in our building have their eyes on you. Zhu Hao raised his eyebrows. Targeting me? That's interesting. But the same thing goes, my address has not been exposed, so how did the other party find me? Do we have to check every household? In addition to the floors covered by red fog, this building has more than 30 floors, with a total of more than 200 households. The manpower and time required to check every household is beyond imagination. What's more, even when the property management comes to your door, the owner may not open the door. What's more, they are ordinary people. This would work unless someone with a gun went door to door. However, now everyone except Zhu Hao is starving. Not to mention climbing stairs, even running has become a problem. All the speculations were overturned, which increased Zhu Hao's curiosity. ID hash free food and accommodation, you say? Catching Zhu Hao's curiosity, Zhang shooting quickly spoke. ID hash building a 1302 Sherry Zhang shooting, give me the food first, and I will tell you. Zhu Hao was somewhat surprised by Zhang shooting's excessive demands. But it is obvious that Zhang shooting has forgotten the pain now that the wound has healed, and after having a full meal, she thinks she can control herself. But she hasn't figured out who is the boss now. Zhu Hao sneered and said disdainfully. ID hash, woman, you'd better make it clear to me, now you are begging me. ID hash free food and accommodation, if you want to get food from me, you have to follow the rules I set. Zhu Hao's anger was like a mountain pressing down on Zhang shooting's head. I originally thought that I could get food for free by using some tricks. But now it seems obvious that it won't work. It was not easy to find such a big boss, and the relationship between the two of them had eased a little. But now, because of his own little thoughts, he began to anger the other party. Zhang shooting was very upset about this. After a moment of silence, Zhang shooting could only continue speaking. ID hash building a 1302 Sherry Zhang shooting, I'm sorry, it's my fault. Let me share the information with you. This time, Zhang shooting didn't dare to hide anything and told everything she knew. Listening to the other party's description word by word, Zhu Hao gradually understood what she just meant by someone is targeting him. It turned out that after he had angrily scolded Liu Mai in the group not long ago, she and a few acquaintances formed a small group and started to plot. Since there is no benefit to be gained on the internet, let's bring him into reality. To this end, several people in the small group came up with a lot of ideas. Eventually, an idea called Mutual Aid Society was born. Mutual Aid Association, the name is beautifully put, it means everyone helps each other. But in reality, it is to lure out the people who still have food in the building. As for what will happen next, you don't have to think about it. Once you come out with the food, you won't have any control over it. He is the person who stores the most food in the entire building, the entire community, and even in Jiangcheng. Zhu Hao understood that he had naturally become a popular figure in the eyes of the people in the Mutual Aid Association. ID hash, how do you know so much? Are you also a participant? Faced with Zhu Hao's questioning, Zhang shooting quickly denied it. ID hash building a 1302 Sherry Zhang shooting, no. No. How could I do such a thing? Deep down, she wished she was the only one who could get food from Zhu Hao. After all, one more person means one more mouth to feed. If Zhu Hao appeared in a public place, there would definitely be a lot of people rushing to him. Among them, what is most lacking is women, especially beautiful women. Women are always sensitive, and Zhang shooting is no exception. Zhang shooting felt a little unhappy when she thought that Zhu Hao had fallen in love with other beauties and ignored her. What's more, she understood that the only thing that Zhu Hao valued now was her body. What if a prettier, younger and more energetic beauty appears? Zhang Shooting cannot guarantee that she has the ability to keep Zhu Hao. ID Building a 1302 Sherry Zhang Shooting. This news was told to me by Fuhuali Fitness Gold Medal Sales Zhang in the owner group. Zhang Shooting didn't dare to hide anything and told Zhu Hao everything in detail. Zhang. When Zhu Hao heard the name, an image of a muscular man immediately appeared in his mind. Fuhuali Fitness is a gym near the residential area, and its main business is that of neighbors. Many people in the community have applied for membership cards there, and Zhu Hao had gone there to exercise before. At that time, Zhang was a fitness coach there. Later, due to poor performance, he switched to sales. But no one expected that once he changed his career, relying on his muscular body, he quickly attracted a large number of aunts and grandmothers when he was distributing flyers outside. Over time, Zhang transformed from the worst performing coach in the gym to a gold medal salesperson. When Zhu Hao first posted the message about looking for beautiful women in the group, this Zhang came out to be their hero more than once. Wasn't he a lapdog for that Snow Amy in the group before? How come he found Zhang Shooting in the blink of an eye? But no matter what, Zhang Shooting has become Zhu Hao's person now. Even if Zhang continues to flatter her, it will be in vain. ID not bad, that's good. If you have any new news, please tell me as soon as possible. Since Zhang is trying to please Zhang Shooting now, he can take advantage of this and get the latest news in the group. ID Building a 1302 Sherry Zhang Shooting, yes. I will remember it. After finishing her business, Zhang Shooting shyly sent some hungry emoticons. Although she was very hungry, she was worried that asking for food would anger Zhu Hao, so she could only try to please him in various cute ways. ID free food and accommodation, in 10 minutes, come to the 20th floor. What you want will be behind the fire escape stairs. Zhang Shooting made a great contribution in bringing the news of their mutual aid association, and Zhu Hao was also generous in providing food. He took out 5 boxes of beef rolls, 2 boxes of soup noodles, and 3 fruits from the infinite space and packed them together. I walked to the door, looked out through the peephole, and made sure there was no one outside. He put on the civilian protective clothing that had been prepared long ago, put on a helmet, picked up the electric baton, wrapped himself tightly, picked up the food bag and went downstairs. At this moment, nearly a week had passed since the red fog got out of control, and many people were really hungry. When I looked down from the balcony, I could vaguely see someone walking downstairs to find something to eat because he couldn't bear the hunger. Zhu Hao knew his own strengths and weaknesses. Apart from their super god cashback system, he had no other self-defense skills. If he were to be encountered by someone with ulterior motives, a fierce battle would begin in a matter of minutes. Put the food in the designated location and return home quickly. Zhu Hao couldn't help but breathe a sigh of relief. Damn it, this isn't a solution. The situation will only get worse. There will be more and more dangerous hungry people out there. We have to find a way to get some weapons. Thinking of this, Zhu Hao suddenly had an idea and quickly turned on the computer. Chapter 18, Find a way to shoot him. Buying weapons, which before the disaster, was an absolute illegal act. At the very least, you'll end up in jail, and at the worst, you'll be forced to eat peanuts. As a good citizen who abides by the law, Zhu Hao would naturally not do this. But after the red fog got out of control, order gradually collapsed, and everything returned to the era of the survival of the fittest. On weekdays, Zhu Hao would secretly find some unknown websites through some special channels. Their universal network is Zhu Hao's favorite hidden website. On it, you can get some information that the outside world doesn't have, and you can also find some unprecedented things. As long as you have enough chips, there is basically nothing you can't do. However, since he was well aware of the pros and cons, he naturally just watched. But now, these once insignificant websites have become a life-saving straw. Because the red fog was completely out of control, the only network connecting to the outside world became a place for everyone to understand the situation outside and to have fun and chat. As soon as Zhu Hao logged into this hidden website, tens of thousands of messages bombarded him like bombs. In this hidden website, no one uses their real name, and everyone has an exclusive and unique title. Mr. Z is Zhu Hao's title on this website. I have heard from the grapevine that the authorities have given up on rescue and left us to fend for ourselves. Where did you get this rubbish? I have a cousin working in there, and he said the rescue operation has already started, but it just hasn't reached us yet. Forget it. Even if we start the rescue, we won't be able to save you and me. If we need to save someone, we'll save the dignitaries first. Who has food? I am willing to buy it. Any price is fine. As long as you name the price. Brothers and uncles, please be kind. I am really hungry. Although I have no money, I will do anything as long as you give me food. This is my photo. Oh my God, sister, is this photo of yours real or fake? Brother, I have a piece of chocolate, do you want one? I have 10 wazi here, exchange them for a box of instant noodles. Who wants to exchange, please PM me. Only 10? Prices are going crazy these days. A pack of instant noodles is enough to buy you 10 wazi. People on the internet were talking to each other, some were spreading gossip, some were talking about the changes in the red fog, and more were exchanging supplies. Compared with true and false information, people are more willing to believe in material exchanges. After all, what can be obtained and put into their mouth is real. Mr. ID-Z, looking for food in exchange for weapons. If interested, please chat privately. As soon as Ju Hao sent the message to the group, he received more than a dozen replies. Really? I have a kitchen knife, do you want it? I just want 2 loaves of bread. You are such an idiot, you come here to beg for food, do you need your kitchen knife? I have 50 carbon alloy darts, exchanged privately. Although there are good and bad people, there are also some truly capable people. After waiting for 10 minutes, a man with the ID Arsenal sent a private chat request. On this hidden website, there is no need to add friends or have consent from both parties. As long as one party needs it, they can contact the other party directly. ID-Arsenal, what do you want? As he spoke, the other party sent a picture of a weapons list. From small knives to large guns, everything is available. Naturally, prices vary. ID-Z boy, how to trade. Now the streets are full of red fog, and how to trade is also an issue that cannot be ignored. ID-Arsenal, you don't have to worry about this. As long as we pay you, everything is easy to deal with. So cool. Before, Ju Hao was the one who acted arrogant in the owners group and the company group. Now, seeing such an arrogant person in the hidden group, Ju Hao couldn't help but be curious about his identity. He remembered that this person named Arsenal was a veteran member of the Universal Group. Apart from the group owner, there were no more than 10 such people in the group. In a group chat of 10,000 people, less than 10 people can obtain the title of veteran. You can imagine how powerful their arsenal is. Ju Hao thought about it and replied. Mr. ID-Z, a Glock 19 pistol and an AK-47 rifle, each with 500 rounds of ammunition. Not long after the message was sent, he received a quote from the other party: 50 boxes of compressed biscuits, or equivalent food. The moment he saw the price, Ju Hao couldn't help but gasp. Although I was mentally prepared that the price would not be too cheap, the value of 50 boxes of compressed biscuits could not be ignored. If it were in the past, Ju Hao would not be able to afford it if converted into eagle coins. But the difference now is that food has become hard currency, and everything that can be traded on the market, without exception, uses food as money. In the past, Ju Hao had no room for bargaining. But now, the situation is completely opposite. I noticed that Arsenal had previously posted some posts on their website about buying food, but his bids were too high and basically not many people would buy them. Seeing this, Ju Hao raised his eyebrows and grinned. Weapons are dispensable to Ju Hao now. Even if he doesn't have them, it won't prevent him from living comfortably at home. But for the Arsenal, which was short of food, if the deal failed, it would mean losing a good opportunity to obtain food. Mr. ID-Z, it's too expensive, 20 packs. Without saying anything, Ju Hao cut the price in half. This sudden price cut caught the Arsenal off guard. He was indifferent for a long while before he snorted. ID-Arsenal, no. 40 packs. Seeing the other party's tough attitude, Ju Hao did not hesitate. Mr. ID-Z, just 20 packs. If you don't want it, forget it. I'll find someone else. Having said that, he was about to cut off contact. ID-Arsenal, other people's goods are not as good as mine, you have to think carefully. It was not known whether it was a threat or an attempt to retain him, but the Arsenal's tone suddenly changed. Seeing this change, Ju Hao knew that the other party had taken the bait. Although many people can see through the trick of playing hard to get, they may not be able to distinguish it in time when they are in the situation. Zhu Hao had been lurking in this group for a long time, and he had seen the strength of their arsenal. There are other people in the group who also sell weapons, but the quality is not as good as that of arsenal. Because of this, Zhu Hao deliberately played the trick of playing hard to get. If it had been before, the other party would never try to keep him, but now it is completely different. The relationship between supply and demand has changed after the red fog got out of control. Seeing that Zhu Hao had not responded yet, the impatient Arsenal sent another message. ID #Arsenal, 25 packs. This is my bottom line. It can't be any less. As soon as he finished speaking, Zhu Hao replied immediately. Mr. ID-Z, deal. Seeing Zhu Hao being so straightforward, their Arsenal realized that he had been fooled. But when it comes to buying and selling this thing, one person is willing to buy and the other is willing to sell. If you bid a low price, you can't blame others. With their universal network as the middleman, the deal between the two was quickly concluded. 2 hours later, Zhu Hao, who was sitting on the sofa playing with his mobile phone, suddenly saw a message. Your goods have been delivered to your door, please check them as soon as possible. So soon? Shocked, Zhu Hao hurried to the door and looked out through the peephole. I saw a metal box appear outside my door. When I moved it back home and opened the box, I saw 2 brand new guns placed in the box. What the hell? Zhu Hao was extremely excited when he touched a real gun for the first time. At the same time, a note in the box also caught his attention. Please put the items you traded in the box and we will send someone to collect them. And there's a special delivery service. Zhu Hao couldn't help but admire it. Now that he had weapons, he was finally prepared for any eventuality, and Zhu Hao could go back to his room and sleep peacefully. The night view outside the window is becoming increasingly red. Affected by the red fog, most of the light sources are polluted into red, like blood, and look particularly creepy. Late at night, people who have been hungry all day can only resist the invasion of hunger by sleeping. Zhu Hao, on the other hand, touched his pistol and fell into a sweet dream. Chapter 19: Liu Mai's Conspiracy. The next morning, Zhu Hao was not idle either. After moving the guns into the infinite space, he simply started practicing in it. In this boundless space, the area of materials only occupies a very small area. It's like putting a ping-pong ball on a grassland of tens of thousands of square meters. It won't attract much attention at all. More importantly, only Zhu Hao knows everything that happened in the infinite space. This means that he can practice shooting here with peace of mind. Considering that this was his first time handling a firearm, Zhu Hao was not in a hurry to load the bullet. After all, 500 bullets are not too few, but not too many either. Although he can continue to buy on the universal network, Zhu Hao does not plan to continue to contact the people there during this period of time. Once the other party knew that we had a lot of food, these villains would do anything. For the next whole day, Zhu Hao was immersed in infinite space. From drawing the gun, loading the gun, aiming, and firing. Zhu Hao practiced all the steps no less than 500 times until he was familiar with them. Only then did he take out the bullets, load them into the magazine, and start a new round of live fire shooting. When Zhu Hao was immersed in practicing shooting, their mutual aid association formed by Liu Mai, Xiao Jun and others also reached a consensus in the small group. After discussing everything, Liu Mai immediately sent a message to the owners group. ID #Building A, 706, belated spring at everyone, all the neighbors. In order to respond to the requirements of the higher level organizations and achieve mutual assistance in times of crisis, I propose to set up a mutual assistance market on the 14th floor. Neighbors can come here if they need to trade anything. Soon, Liu Mai's suggestion received a response. Sure, this market should have been set up a long time ago. I was constantly looking for people to exchange food within the group chat. I have a bottle of 1982 Lafite, I want to exchange it for 10 loaves of bread and 20 sausages, who wants to exchange it? Dude, are you okay? How much is the food outside now? You want to exchange a bottle of wine for 10 loaves of bread? You are overthinking. I have 5 sausages and a salt-baked chicken wing in exchange for your Lafite. Are you kidding me? You think I'm a beggar? Stupid, keep it for yourself. I have a dozen beers and I want to exchange them for meat. Who is willing to do so? I have meat, but I want to change my stomach medicine. Is your meat expired? Get lost, don't pull it. After practicing shooting for a whole day until his arms became numb, Zhu Hao reluctantly left the infinite space. After taking a quick shower and lying on the sofa, Zhu Hao started browsing his phone while gnawing on a chicken leg. Liu Mai and his accomplices, singing the same tune in the group, soon caught Zhu Hao's attention. Looking at the few people who responded in the group, he couldn't help but laugh. Those who responded to Liu Mai were all those people in the Mutual Aid Association group. It really is true that they help each other. Sure enough, that chick Zhang shooting didn't lie to me. That old lady Liu Mai really started to take action. Before this, Zhu Hao still had some doubts about her words, but now, the dark cloud of doubt has dissipated without a trace. Mutual aid market. He didn't need to go there. The food in the infinite space is enough for him for more than 10 years. Combined with the supplies returned by the woman after consumption, he doesn't have to go out for the rest of his life. I want to see what you can do to lure me out, Zhu Hao said playfully. On the other hand, nearly an hour had passed since I posted a message in the group saying that I wanted to set up a mutual aid market. Seeing that there was no reply in the group regarding free food and accommodation, Liu Mai became anxious. Why hasn't this little brat shown up yet? The food he had alone was equivalent to that of everyone in the entire building. Faced with such a big piece of fat, it would be a lie to say that I am not tempted. No, I have to find this little bastard. I can't let you go. ID Building A, Room 706, late spring, and you have food and lodging provided. Why don't you say anything? You still have a lot of food, right? Now is a special period, you should take it out and exchange it. After being reminded by Liu Mai, people immediately remembered Zhu Hao's previous showing off wealth in the group. That's right, you have so much, you won't die if you share some of it. We are all neighbors, and we should help each other at this time. We won't take it for free. If you like something, just exchange it directly. It's just some food and drinks, isn't it? It's not like we can't afford it. You're being too stingy. Liu Mai deliberately named and tagged Zhu Hao in the group, and coupled with Zhu Hao's silence, it immediately caused quite a bit of controversy in the group. People pointed the finger at Zhu Hao for the food shortage. ID hash, what you mean is that I can exchange for anything I like. Zhu Hao raised the corner of his mouth and sent a message to the group. ID Building A, Room 706, late spring, of course, we are all civilized people. As long as you bring out food for trading, we will definitely treat you fairly and justly. ID Building A, 706, late spring, however, if you continue to hide the food privately and do not share it with others, this is against the organization's orders. When the disaster is over, the organization will definitely come to settle accounts, and you cannot afford the consequences. Old woman, who are you trying to scare? It's the organization's order. Do you really think I don't know that the mutual aid market was actually set up by your small group? Zhu Hao grinned, his eyes full of disdain. Just as he was about to continue scolding Liu Mai, a pistol beside him caught his attention. No, now that I have a weapon, it's time to show it off. Zhu Hao grinned wickedly and pretended to show weakness in front of the group. ID R. The organization will come to settle accounts with me, I don't want that. I don't want to be a big shot. Seeing that the usually tough, free food and accommodation suddenly became weak. Many people in the group were somewhat shocked. Hasn't this guy always been so tough? Why did he suddenly become so soft? Are you really afraid of the organization's liquidation? Liu Mai, the person involved, was also surprised by Zhu Hao's change of attitude. The two of them had a big fight in the group before, and no matter how I threatened him, I couldn't extort any benefits from him. Now, the words, the organization will come to settle accounts, make him scared. This is too smooth. Although she felt something was wrong, Liu Mai didn't care. Even if you have tremendous abilities, you are just one person. Once you show up, you won't be able to do anything about it. ID Building A, Room 706, late spring, as long as you obey orders and bring food to the mutual aid market, all the mistakes you made before will be written off. Liu Mai, who was pursuing the victory, continued to speak with a stronger tone. ID free food and accommodation, okay. While watching the group chat, Zhu Hao repeated the actions of drawing the gun and aiming. As he watched the people in the group become more and more proud, his smile became increasingly cold. It's time to show you who the fuck is boss. Chapter 20 Zhang Shooting's Worry. In addition to the people in their mutual aid association, Zhang Shuting, who had been lurking and not speaking, was also surprised. Although she had only met, food and lodging provided, once, she still knew how cautious the other party was. But how could such a cautious and courageous man be frightened by an old woman like Liu Mai? Zhang Shuting wouldn't believe it. But she had no idea what the gourd of free food and accommodation was all about. What's more, I had already told the other party about what Liu Mai and others were planning, and I had also reminded the other party to be very careful. Unexpectedly, the offer of free food and accommodation was ignored by everyone and he agreed to it in no time. This made Zhang Shuting even more confused. After thinking about it, she decided to ask in person. Building A1302 Sherry Zhang Shuting, do you really want to go? Zhang Shuting clicked send with an extremely nervous heart and walked back and forth waiting for the other party's message. Sometimes I scroll through my phone, sometimes I pace around the house. She didn't know when, but every move of this man had deeply affected her heart. Ding dong. Half a minute later, I finally received the letter from the other party. Free food and accommodation, of course, are you worried about me? As soon as these words came out, Zhang Shuting's face suddenly turned half red. Building A1302 Sherry Zhang Shuting, no way, don't talk nonsense. Although Zhang Shuting denied it verbally, her actions have already given the answer. If you don't really care, who would send greetings at this critical moment? Food and lodging provided, don't worry, I'll be fine. Zhang Shuting heaved a sigh of relief when she received the other party's affirmative answer. Building A1302 Sherry Zhang Shuting, that's good. Knowing clearly that this mutual aid market was a trap, Zhu Hao still chose to step into it. Anyone who can do this is either a fool or has enough confidence. Obviously, Zhu Hao belongs to the latter. The red fog is out of control, and the situation from now on will change 360 degrees. Zhang Shuting, who has silently accepted all of this, also understands that the peaceful days of the past are gone forever. How to survive in this strange doomsday world is what she urgently needs to consider. At present, having enough food and a mysterious confidence of free food and drink naturally becomes the first choice in Zhang Shuting's mind. Women all need a sense of security, and Zhang Shuting is no exception. After spending some time together, she found that Zhu Hao was not a bad person, nor was he completely impossible to get along with. Seems to be a reliable person. If she wants to completely hang out with this man, she needs something different. As a surgeon, her medical skills were one of the few things she could show off. In this new world of medical failure, anyone who understands medicine is in great demand. Just when Zhang Shuting was thinking about how to get closer to Zhu Hao, the other party sent a message. Free food and accommodation, if you are worried, move in and live with me. At this moment, Zhang Shuting's face turned red instantly. She still knows clearly what it means to live together. When she thought about their future life together, Zhang Shuting couldn't help but feel shy. But living with him is indeed a good way to get closer to him. There is another beautiful woman who also cares about Zhu Hao. Yao Yao, who lives on the 31st floor, has not eaten for 2 days. She was so hungry that she lay powerless on the bed. Her whole body was limp, and apart from her faint breathing, the only sound she could hear was the gurgling sound from her stomach. Lying in bed, she kept thinking about how to get food. It has been 2 days since I last chatted with free food and lodging. No matter how actively she tried to find topics to talk about, the other party seemed to have disappeared and did not respond. But strangely, the other party did not delete himself. Damn it, I just took the initiative, do I have to be so cautious? Yao Yao felt extremely regretful when she thought about how the duck that was about to reach her mouth flew away in the blink of an eye. Their free food and accommodation is no longer available, and the people in the owner group are now very shrewd. Buying it with money? This is no longer possible. Do I really have to exchange my body for food? Thinking of this, Yao Yao felt very unwilling. Although she has been married, she still has the most basic sense of shame. She still couldn't do something like exchanging her body for food. But it seems that there is really no other way. Feeling disheartened, she could only keep checking her phone, trying to find some last bit of hope. But at this time, Liu Mai proposed to set up a mutual aid market in the group. Seeing this news, Yao Yao became excited and jumped out to respond immediately. Great, there is help. Soon, many more people in the group asked to exchange supplies, and everyone was chatting happily. Liu Mai suddenly tagged free food and accommodation in the group. Yao Yao originally thought that the man who provided food and lodging would continue to scold the other party, but something unexpected happened. The provider of free food and accommodation actually agreed to Liu Mai's request and went out to their mutual aid market in person. Upon seeing this news, Yao Yao was instantly excited as if she had been injected with chicken blood. Great! Since I can't flirt with you online, I'll definitely snatch you away when you come to the real world. As she spoke, Yao Yao quickly went to the closet and started tinkering with it. As the owner of a women's clothing store, she has plenty of beautiful clothes. Just wait and see how I tease you until your legs go limp. And then you have to hand over the food obediently. Yao Yao couldn't help but smirk. After teasing Zhang Shooting, Zhu Hao smiled happily. It was also part of his plan to let Zhang Shooting move in. When living together, the rate at which material things are consumed will skyrocket. You can enjoy happiness while getting a lot of supplies. Why not do something like this? However, Zhu Hao was not in a hurry about this matter. There is only one step left to completely conquer Zhang Shooting. When he comes back from their mutual aid market, this once proud woman will be completely conquered by him. There is still some time before their mutual aid market starts. Zhu Hao continued to tinker with the pistol at home. Just then, the cell phone rang. Arsenal has received your goods and the transaction has been completed. Quickly open the computer and log onto their universal network. At this time, their Arsenal had been online for a long time. When he saw Zhu Hao log in, he immediately initiated a chat. ID #Arsenal, the stuff is good. We can continue to cooperate if you need it next time. Zhu Hao smiled and thought to himself. Of course the things are good. When I purchased them, I used my connections to buy high-quality products. Mr. ID-Z, your gun is also very good and very fun to use. The two began to flatter each other. ID-Arsenal, here's another free message for you. Mr. ID-Z, what's the matter? Zhu Hao asked doubtfully. ID-Arsenal, be careful of those who have stayed in the red fog for a long time. Someone who stayed in the red fog for a long time. What does this mean? Zhu Hao was a little confused. Before he could continue asking, the Arsenal had already ended the chat. Feeling confused, Zhu Hao continued to search online, but he could not find any relevant information on either public websites or the hidden universal network. What exactly does he want to express? Is it possible that people who stay in the red fog for a long time will undergo some changes? Thinking of this, Zhu Hao immediately thought of the convenience store clerk in the Adventure Live, who was skinny and looked like all the life force was sucked out. Chapter 21 Trading Market. The next day, Liu Mai and others arrived at the designated location early in the morning. The mezzanine floor on the 14th floor was originally designed to be a sky bridge to connect to Building B next door. Later, as no one used it for a long time, it naturally became a good place for neighbors to chat and brag after dinner. As we got closer to the trading market, more than a dozen people began to appear in the overhead layer. There are men and women, young and old. But most of them were pale, curled up, and extremely listless, as if they had not had a good rest for a long time. People who come here carry more or less things with them, some carry backpacks, and some carry bags. Seeing more and more people appearing on the mezzanine floor, the people who arrived here earlier couldn't help but hold the bags in their hands tightly and look at each other warily. For Liu Mai, most of the faces here are familiar. She often walks around Building A and has a unique set of skills in recognizing people. Why hasn't the guy with free food and lodging come yet? Xiao Jun on the side couldn't help but say. In the owner's group, his ID is Da Jun Ge, and he is also a member of their mutual aid association. He had originally proposed setting up this mutual aid market because of Zhu Hao's supplies, but now only poor neighbors came. Looking at the signs they held up, all of them were asking for exchanges of sausages, instant noodles, beer and other things. He couldn't help feeling a little disappointed. Don't worry, the little bastard promised me he would come. Liu Mai comforted. Just as Zhu Hao expected, the fundamental purpose of setting up this mutual aid market was not to facilitate the neighbors, but to lure Zhu Hao out. Seeing that more and more people came, they started shouting with signs in their hands. Some people held their backpacks tightly, walking among the crowd and looking at each other. 2 sausages for 5 loaves of bread. A pack of biscuits for a pack of instant noodles. Half a bucket of protein powder, replace with meat, any meat will do. Some people had already discussed it privately and now came to the scene to trade. They quickly got what they wanted and left happily. I have 5 bottles of beer and I'll give you 2 sausages. How about that? No, why do I need beer? At the same time, some people are troubled by the fact that they cannot get what they want. Without the intermediary of money, the barter method soon ran into problems. Now that order has collapsed, not to mention money, even hard currency like gold has completely lost its function. Food became the only thing that could still be traded. Hey, did you hear? There's someone in our building who has a lot of food stored at home. I know. Isn't it the one called Free Food and Accommodation? He was even calling out in the owner's group before, wanting to hire beautiful women. Yes. It's him. Do you think it's possible that the guy is lying to us? I don't think it's possible. The photos he posted to the group were all real time. And what good would it do for him to lie to us? Maybe it's just to trick the beauty over. When more people gathered, they couldn't help but start chatting when they saw familiar faces. At this time, Zhang Shooting had already arrived at the 14th floor mezzanine, found an empty corner, and began to look left and right. She didn't come to exchange food. What Zhu Hao had given her before was enough for her to eat for several days. The reason I came here this time was to see if Zhu Hao would really show up, and I was also curious about what his confidence was. There are many people like Zhang Shooting who come to their mutual aid market empty-handed. Some people come here to try their luck and see if they can buy food with money, while others come here out of pure curiosity and want to see the true appearance of this magical person who provides food and accommodation. At this time, a voice sounded in the mezzanine. Please, just give me something to eat. I'm really hungry. Please be kind. Everyone looked in the direction of the sound and saw a mother with a child kneeling on the ground, begging non-stop. Standing in front of her was a young man who had just finished a transaction. He was holding the bag tightly in his hand and wanted to leave here as soon as possible. No. I don't have enough to eat. I just saw that you changed to bread. I only need a little bit. I'm not eating it myself, but for the baby. Go away. If you want to eat, go change it yourself. As the noise grew louder, it attracted a lot of onlookers. They pointed at each other, but no one came forward to help. After all, there is not enough food for everyone now, and no one is willing to share the food they have. Some people couldn't stand it and chose to go to Liu Mai, Xiao Jun and others, asking them to think of a solution. But after hearing the reason for the incident, several people from their mutual aid society pushed hard and no one was willing to step forward. If you have the guts, go ahead and do it. What kind of man are you if you ask us old ladies to work for you? Liu Mai retorted with something, leaving the other party speechless. They were unwilling to do thankless work, and they had to save their energy to deal with Zhu Hao later. Brother Yang, when do we start? Don't worry. We can wait until the guy who provides food and shelter shows up, then we can take action. There are many people like us right now, and taking action rashly will only alert the enemy. Zhao Yang watched everything silently and said in a deep voice. Zhao Yang was the construction site contractor who had quarreled with Zhu Hao in the group and made harsh remarks. In the owner's group, his ID was the Invincible Brave. When the guy who says free food and lodging shows up, you two go around and cut off his escape route while I catch him head on. Then we can force him to take us to his house, and the food inside will be easy to get. Thinking of the mountain of food that Zhu Hao sent to the group, the two younger brothers couldn't help swallowing. Food is just too tempting for them these days. As expected of Brother Yang, you are indeed resourceful. The follower couldn't help but exclaim in admiration. I told you not to act so arrogantly in front of the group. If I catch you, you'll be dead. Zhao Yang narrowed his eyes and gritted his teeth. Some people follow the rules, and naturally some people don't. Hey, didn't we agree that you would exchange 5 packs of instant noodles for my 2 chocolates? Why are there only 2 packs now? What's wrong with you? On the other side of their mutual aid market, a young man asked loudly. What are you yelling for? Didn't I give you instant noodles? Why are you still yelling here? Let go. The person caught by the young guy was a girl in her early 20s, who was holding the chocolate box tightly in her hand. Are you deaf or blind? I want 5 packs of instant noodles, not 2. Can you count? How can you be so stingy as a grown man? Why are you so petty here? Can you be more generous? I don't want to change it. Please give me back my chocolate. Chocolate is more popular than instant noodles, and it is more filling. Instant noodles are now common in the mutual aid market, while chocolate is a rare commodity. Whether in terms of value or satiety, chocolate is better. I don't care, I don't care. Anyway, I've already given you the instant noodles. The chocolate is mine. I warn you to let go, or I'll call the police. Give it back to me now. Seeing that she couldn't prevail against the other party, the younger sister simply acted like a rogue and cried loudly. It's indecent. Someone is molesting me here. Help. Just with that cry, everyone's attention was focused on her. Seeing a strong young man holding onto the girl's clothes, people began to criticize him. How could this man be so indecent as to molest a young girl in broad daylight? What a disgusting perverted man. I always say that all men are bad, and now it seems to be true. Seeing that the girl had a pretty face, some people started to act like heroes, walked between the two men, and began to persuade them, okay, young man, let go quickly, you're hurting this girl. Get out of here. Why are you acting like a saint here? Do you have the guts to compensate me for the remaining 3 packets of instant noodles? Otherwise, stop complaining here. The young man, with red eyes, yelled angrily. TSK, 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 young people nowadays are so unreasonable, they only know how to bully young girls. Seeing that he couldn't win an argument, the man who wanted to be a hero shook his head and left in shame. Just when everyone's attention was drawn to the quarrel between a man and a woman, a figure appeared silently on the 14th floor mezzanine. Chapter 22. She is my woman. Ju Hao's appearance did not attract much attention, because his clothes were so ordinary and so common. He was wearing a baggy t-shirt on the upper body, loose sports shorts on the lower body, and carrying a shoulder bag on his back. He didn't look like he was exchanging supplies at all. Oh? Are you quarreling so soon? The first thing Ju Hao noticed when he arrived at the mezzanine floor was the quarrel between a man and a woman. Looking at the crowd standing in 3 circles inside and 3 circles outside watching the excitement, Ju Hao smiled helplessly. No matter what time it is, people are curious. Even if they don't have enough food, they will still gossip. Before the super god system appeared, Ju Hao seldom chatted in the group. As he had been lurking for a long time, he naturally did not leave an impression on many people. Even Liu Mai, who had been wandering around the floors for a long time, subconsciously regarded Ju Hao as a tenant here. After all, the houses in Fuhuali Community are not affordable for a young man in his 20s like Ju Hao. Zhao Yong soon noticed Ju Hao, but when he saw the shriveled shoulder bag behind Ju Hao, he quickly shifted his gaze away. Another poor fellow. On the contrary, Zhang Shooting, who had been standing in the corner and observing silently, was stunned the moment she saw Ju Hao appear. He's really coming. Originally, Zhang Shooting thought that Ju Hao would trade some food. After all, Ju Hao had promised Liu Mai in the group, but now it seems that he didn't take it seriously at all. The shriveled shoulder bag behind Ju Hao couldn't hold much stuff. Almost at the same time, Ju Hao, who was walking in the mezzanine, also saw Zhang Shooting in the corner. Seeing Zhang Shooting's surprised expression, Ju Hao smiled and walked straight over. Why are you here? Zhang Shooting asked in disbelief. Why can't I come? Ju Hao said with a wicked smile. That's not the case, I just didn't expect you to actually come. Zhang Shooting shook her head slightly. There are so many things you can't imagine. Ju Hao said this and pinched Zhang Shooting's face hard. Being teased like this, Zhang Shooting blushed immediately with shyness and quickly shook her head to deny it. Her already rosy face suddenly turned red, and she looked like she had been bullied. If it were in the past, Zhang Shooting would definitely slap him in the face, but this time, she thought it was perfectly normal. Just as the two were flirting, a pair of angry eyes were staring at Ju Hao. The owner of those eyes walked straight towards them. Hey, kid, what are you doing? A rough voice sounded from the side. Ju Hao looked back curiously and saw a muscular man standing in front of him and Zhang Shooting. The visitor was none other than Zhang Shooting's suitor, Zhang Heng, the gold medal salesperson of Fuhuali Fitness. Seeing his muscular body, many people retreated. Seeing Zhang Heng's angry face, Ju Hao was not panicked at all. Instead, he looked calm. He hugged Zhang Shooting in his arms and stared back at her jokingly. What are you doing? Let go of my hand. Seeing his goddess being hugged by someone, Zhang Heng instantly got angry and yelled loudly. Why, I'm talking to my woman, what does it have to do with you? Zhu Hao glanced at Zhang shooting in his arms calmly and snorted coldly. Bullshit, Xiaoting is not your woman. If it were any other time, if she encountered a man who was trying to take advantage of her, Zhang shooting would have slapped him back, or simply pushed him away and called the police. But this time she let Zhu Hao hold her in his arms without any resistance. Don't believe it? Ask her to tell you. Are you my woman? Zhu Hao glanced at Zhang shooting and said playfully. What nonsense are you talking about? Xiaoting, tell me quickly, what he said is not true. Zhang Heng's voice was trembling as he still couldn't believe it. Zhang shooting, who was hugged by Zhu Hao, sighed and nodded slightly. He said to Zhang Heng, my business has nothing to do with you, please leave now. What? It has nothing to do with me? Zhang Heng couldn't believe that Zhang shooting would actually say such a thing. As a surgeon in Jiangcheng, Zhang shooting not only has a beautiful appearance, but also has both wisdom and beauty. Men who want to pursue her can line up all the way to Paris. But this ordinary boy in front of him actually managed to win over Zhang shooting? Zhang Heng's eyes widened, wishing he could just rush up and tear Zhu Hao to pieces. But when Zhang Heng saw the resentful look in Zhang shooting's eyes, he knew that he had lost. A complete defeat. With a thud, the disheartened Zhang Heng knelt on the ground. Humph! You overestimate your own abilities. Zhu Hao snorted coldly and said with disdain. Zhang shooting is famous for her beauty in the community. Before Hongwu got out of control, many people in the community had tried to approach her, but they were all rejected by Zhang shooting in person. Now that order has collapsed, her former suitors suddenly became evil-minded when they saw Zhang shooting standing alone in the corner. But when Zhu Hao appeared, he immediately dispelled their thoughts. When the goddess nestled tightly in Zhu Hao's arms, many people cast curious glances at her. Some people even started to inquire about Zhu Hao. Hey! Do you know who is the one hugging Zhang shooting? How would I know? But seeing how arrogant he is, he's probably not a good person. He's probably just some rich second-generation guy. No way, I heard that Zhang shooting has always hated those nouveau riche, the second generation of rich people and so on. Then I don't know. Zhu Hao has always been low-key, so naturally no one could dig out any information from him. While holding Zhang shooting in his arms, Zhu Hao was constantly looking around. Liu, Mai, Xiao, Jun, and Zhao, Yang. When he saw the three people, their online ID names also appeared in Zhu Hao's mind. Late Spring, Big Army Brother, the invincible hero. Like Zhu Hao, the three of them also stood in the corner, not participating in any transactions, their eyes constantly scanning around, as if looking for something. Obviously, they were all waiting for free food and accommodation, that is, the appearance of Zhu Hao. Are you all targeting me? That's interesting. Zhu Hao raised his eyebrows and said playfully. Just as Zhu Hao was thinking about when to reveal his identity, a little old man came over. He looked Zhang shooting up and down, and said with a lecherous look, "Little brother, the girl is pretty good. You got such a top-notch girl." Zhu Hao glanced at him and said, "What's the matter?" The despised old man was not angry at all, and the smile on his face never stopped. "Little brother, I have a piece of bread here. How about exchanging something with you?" Zhu Hao was very familiar with this kind of look in his eyes. They were all men, and everyone knew what he was thinking. It was obvious that this old man had taken a fancy to Zhang shooting. Change your girl, just for one night. She's my woman, are you worthy enough? Get the hell out of here. Chapter 23. I have the final say here. The old man who was kicked away got up from the ground and left miserably. Before leaving, he did not forget to glance at Zhu Hao, leaving a fierce look. Soon, the old man found a new target, a young girl in her early 20s. After chatting with the other party for a few words, the young girl nodded shyly, and the two disappeared in the trading market in a blink of an eye. Everyone is used to this. Who would care so much about you when you can't even get enough to eat? Time passed quietly, and nearly 3 hours had passed since the transaction started. At this point, most people have already made their transactions. Some choose to stay and continue waiting, while others hold onto their bags and want to leave quickly. At this moment, without any warning, 7 or 8 figures suddenly rushed out, holding iron rods and knives, with ferocious expressions. It was obvious at first glance that they were not friendly. Someone noticed something was wrong and was about to leave when a burly figure stopped him. "I say, brother, you want to leave now?" The person who spoke was a burly man with a buzz cut, and he was also the leader of this group of armed thugs. What are you going to do?" The young man who was stopped hugged his backpack tightly and subconsciously took a few steps back. "Stay here and listen to what I have to say." At the command given by the burly man with a crew cut, his men ran away one after another, locked the door, and stared at everyone present. The burly man with a crew cut cleared his throat and shouted, "Everyone come here, I have something to tell you." This sudden situation forced everyone to stop what they were doing and hold the bags tightly in their hands. Let me briefly introduce myself. My name is Chen Shan. You can call me Brother Shan or Brother Chen. It's up to you. Everyone is very clear about the situation outside. We don't know when the red fog will dissipate or when the rescue team will arrive. Considering the current critical situation, our community urgently needs a security team to protect everyone. I will be the captain of this security team. Is that okay with you? Speaking of the matter, the outside world is in chaos right now and people in the community are in panic. A security team is indeed needed to deal with daily conflicts and contradictions. But when these words came out of Chen Shan's mouth, everyone felt something was weird, as if something was wrong. Seeing that no one responded, Chen Shan smiled and continued. "Since you are under my protection, do you think it is reasonable for you to pay me some protection money?" As soon as their words fell, everyone's faces changed drastically. Damn, I knew this guy had bad intentions. Damn it. This is clearly an attempt at robbery. Everyone's expression became tense in an instant. Especially those who had just completed a transaction were scared to death. Should we call the police? Are you crazy? Where are the police now? Keep your voices down. They are all Long San Hai's men. If you make them angry, you will be the ones to suffer. Long San Hai? Isn't that the boss of the Dragon Gang? Oh my god. It's better to have less trouble than more. The whispers of the people around him all entered Zhu Hao's ears. The Long San Hai they were talking about was one of the underground overlords of Jiangcheng. At the same time, he has another identity, the younger brother of Long Santian, the president of Longqian Group, the leading construction company in Jiangcheng. Realizing the seriousness of the matter, everyone began to regret why they did not leave here earlier. The young man who was stopped by Chen Shan just now naturally became the first person to be charged protection fees. "Boy, you wanted to escape just now, didn't you?" Putting a stick on the young man's shoulder, Chen Shan said with a smile. No. The young man shook his head in panic. "You are protected by me, but you don't pay me protection money. It's impossible to have such a good thing in this world." Chen Shan smiled grimly and stretched out his hand to snatch the backpack. "I don't want your protection, no protection." Seeing that something was wrong, the young man hurriedly picked up his backpack and ran half a step when several younger brothers immediately surrounded him. "Hand over the backpack, quick!" Before the young man could resist, the backpack in his hand was snatched away. What followed was a ruthless beating and kicking. After taking a look at the young man whose head was beaten into a pig, Chen Shan showed a bright smile on his face and spoke to everyone. "We are all civilized people, so let's solve this problem in a civilized way. I don't want to do anything. Everyone line up, I'll pay your protection money one by one. If anyone dares not to pay, don't blame me for being rude." As he spoke, Chen Shan raised the iron rod again, and the sharp cold light made people shudder. At this moment, those who had opinions before immediately shut their mouths. They were not fools. If anyone dared to speak out now, their fate would be exactly the same as that of the young man who was beaten into a pig's head and fell to the ground. However, not taking action yourself does not mean that you cannot ask others to take action. "Hey, Xiao Zhang, you have such big muscles, you must be good at fighting, you go and take the lead, and we will follow." "Are you stupid? Why don't you take the lead? You are the initiator of this trading market." Although Zhang Heng is muscular, he is not a brainless person. Going out to be a hero at this time is undoubtedly asking for trouble. Oh my god, what kind of hero is it for a grown man to ask a woman to take the lead? No wonder that beautiful woman doesn't like you, you are so cowardly. Liu Mai said sarcastically. At this moment, Zhang Heng became angry instantly. Just rejected by Zhang shooting, now Liu Mai brought it up again. This is simply bringing up something that is not relevant. "Old woman, can you say it again?" Zhang Heng turned around and shouted loudly. What? Do you dare to hit me? Relying on her old age, Liu Mai became even more unscrupulous. You. Zhang Heng was so angry that he was about to take action, but a slap came over immediately, making him dizzy. You still dare to do it when I'm here? Are you tired of living? Chen Shan stepped on Zhang Heng to the ground with one foot, stepped on him hard, and said harshly. Turning his head to look at Aunt Liu Mai, who was still in shock, Chen Shan said with a smile. Okay, it's your turn to pay the protection fee. But when he saw that there was nothing behind Liu Mai, he couldn't help but ask in confusion. Huh? Why didn't you bring anything? In fact, it wasn't just Liu Mai. Everyone in the Mutual Aid Association group, including Xiao Jun, didn't bring any food. They had no intention of trading here in the first place, and the purpose of launching the trading market was to extort money for free food and accommodation. I didn't bring it. Next time, I'll give it to you next time. Liu Mai's voice trembled a little. Facing Chen Shan, who was several heads taller than her, she instantly lost her confidence. No need for next time, we can just go to your house and get it later. It's okay to bully young people, but when she really meets an unreasonable person like Chen Shan, Liu Mai, who only bullies the weak and fears the strong, has no way out. I originally wanted to find a reason to delay, but I didn't expect that by doing so, I would give Chen Shan an excuse. Don't, there's really nothing to eat at my house, really nothing, I'm not lying to you. When Liu Mai heard that the other party was coming to her house, she panicked instantly. Whether you are lying to me or not, just go and take a look. What's the matter? Are you feeling guilty? Liu Mai, who was guest, felt a pang in her heart and quickly changed the subject. No, there are so many people here without any food, why don't you look for them? Why do you only look for me? As he spoke, he pointed at the people around him. Those who came empty-handed were stunned for a moment, then reacted immediately. Oh my God, you old woman, why are you burning the fire towards us? Damn it, she's trying to drag us down with her. He was already upset about being robbed, and now he was even more angry because of Liu Mai. Everyone gnashed their teeth, wishing they could tear Liu Mai into pieces alive. But due to the ferocious Chen Shan, people dared not speak out and could only vent their dissatisfaction on Liu Mai. Don't worry, everyone has to pay the protection fee. If anyone dares not to pay, I will make him understand what it means to be in agony. As Chen Shan spoke, he started playing with the iron rod in his hand again. By the way, Brother Dasan, I also know about this matter, it will definitely be helpful to you. Liu Mai approached stealthily. Oh? Can it be helpful to me? Chen Shan seemed to be smiling. I'm from the neighborhood committee, and I often wander around the community. Only some of the people in our building are left here. Some people haven't come yet, but I know where their homes are. I can take you to find them. Just give me some of your food when the time comes. Har har har, no problem, no problem. Hearing this news, Chen Shan grinned wickedly, with a greedy expression on his face. Damn, this old woman actually became a traitor. It's over. It's over. If the two of them really cooperate, then everything will be over. After all, many people came here and only brought a small amount of food to trade, and left the rest at home. Liu Mai's words were tantamount to inviting thieves into their house, exposing all their belongings to the criminals. The dark cloud of despair hung over everyone's head. Chapter 24, Grab Food and People. Damn the old woman, he betrayed us all. Bitch, I really want to beat her to death. Everyone present gnashed their teeth and clenched their fists, wishing they could rush up and strangle her to death. But when they saw the strong man Chen Shan next to Liu Mai, everyone was helpless. On the contrary, even though she became a thorn in everyone's eyes, Liu Mai did not repent at all. Instead, she was proud of herself for being able to hook up with a big boss. What are you looking at, you bunch of cowards? Looking around at the people who hated him, Liu Mai said proudly. What does it mean to be extremely shameless? At this moment, it was fully demonstrated in Liu Mai. On the other hand, some people who were unwilling to hand over the food deliberately slowed down the process, and some even pulled at the food bags and refused to let go. Seeing this, Chen Shan warned loudly again. Hurry up, everyone has to hand it in. Anyone who dares not hand it in will be beaten with an iron rod. Soon, under the coercion and intimidation of Chen Shan and his younger brothers, everyone had no choice but to share half of the food in their hands. Some who wanted to resist were severely beaten and all their food was taken away. When the younger brothers put all the food on the ground and counted them one by one with a smile, Chen Shan's expression became more and more ugly. Too little, really too little. Even after searching once, the amount of food we got was still too little. Apart from a small amount of food such as bread, instant noodles and sausages, the rest are fruits, cigarettes, alcohol and other things that cannot fill the stomach. This is far from enough for Chen Shan, who has to enjoy himself and support his younger brothers. Looking at the people whose faces were already filled with anger and ready to explode at any time, Chen Shan knew that they could not snatch food from this group of people again in a short period of time, otherwise it might cause a chain of resistance in a minute. Old lady, who has the most food in your building? After taking a look at Liu Mai, Chen Shan asked. When he asked this, Liu Mai's face turned ugly. Oh, this is really difficult for me, Brother Dasan. We can't go out recently. We can only live on stored food. No one has any. Liu Mai suddenly stopped speaking in the middle of her speech, as if she had thought of something and quickly changed her words. By the way, there is someone in our group called Free Food and Free Housing. He has a lot of food at home. Look, this is the photo he posted to the group. He has hidden a lot of food. Seeing the food piled up as high as a mountain, Chen Shan couldn't help but widen his eyes and was deeply shocked. Oh my god, this is too much. Not to mention supporting him and his younger brothers, even supporting the entire building is not a problem at all. Very good, you lead the way and go find this guy first. Chen Shan said greedily. But seeing that Liu Mai didn't take any action, Chen Shan seemed a little impatient. What's going on? Come on. Lead the way. No. Brother Dasan, I don't know where he lives. This guy is very secretive and never reveals where he lives. Fuck. Why didn't you tell me earlier? You made me so happy for nothing. Chen Shan shouted angrily, with dissatisfaction threatening to overflow from his face. Brothers, let's go. Following Chen Shan's order, a group of younger brothers gathered together, and just when everyone thought it was over, a horrifying scream suddenly rang out. R. Let go. Everyone's attention was drawn to it instantly. Not far away, I saw three young men surrounding a young girl with short hair and touching her constantly. Obviously, the one who screamed just now was the young girl who was trapped in the middle. Without waiting for the girl to resist, the leading thug quickly carried her on his shoulders and prepared to leave. No matter how the young girl being carried on the shoulders resisted, it was of no use. I could only watch myself being taken away from here. Several strong men snatched a woman away in the street. Any normal person would know what is going to happen next. Brother Shan, this girl is pretty good, let's take her back. Pointing at the pretty girl on his shoulder, the younger brother said with a proud look on his face. You eat and take things, but you have good taste. Although he expressed disgust, the treacherous expression on Chen Shan's face betrayed him. Although the neighbors saw it, no one was willing to step forward to stop it. All of them adopted a nonchalant attitude and chose to turn a blind eye. After all, no one wanted to get into trouble. The inaction and silence of the crowd, coupled with Chen Shan's connivance, made many of the younger brothers with evil intentions suddenly bolder. But while there are cowards, there are also hot-blooded fools. At this time, a passionate young man rushed over indignantly and shouted, "Stop it, put the man down immediately, you are breaking the law. I have taken pictures of your criminal evidence, put the man down and leave here, and I can pretend nothing happened." The passionate young man's voice trembled, and he stood in front of Chen Shan with a trembling hand holding a mobile phone. Seeing this, Chen Shan and his younger brothers were stunned at first. But the next second, the laughter echoed throughout the entire mezzanine. Har 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 har. Oh my god, you are really brave. Are you crazy? If you want to be a hero, you have to know your own limitations. What's more, I just want to vent my sexual desire, and it's none of your business. The burly man with a crew cut suddenly rushed forward and kicked the passionate young man hard. The poor guy hadn't reacted to what was happening before his body suddenly flew away uncontrollably. After flying several meters, he hit the wall and passed out. That terrifying leg strength is chilling. If anyone is still not afraid of death and wants to be a hero, come out now. Otherwise, I will kill them one by one. Looking at the timid neighbors, the burly man with a crew cut laughed. With the big brother's support, the younger brother becomes bolder. The more afraid others are, the more arrogant the gangsters become. No matter how unhappy the person who was robbed is, he or she has no choice but to swallow his or her anger. It's chaos, chaos, it's finally going to be chaos. Everyone understood that the order that had been maintained for nearly half a month after the red fog got out of control finally began to collapse at this moment. At this moment, there was a loud bang. A gangster was kicked out suddenly and fell to the ground. The person who kicked the gangster away just now was none other than Zhu Hao, who was hugging Zhang Shooting. Just now, the outstanding-looking Zhang Shooting was quickly noticed by the gangster. When the gangster was about to rob her, he was unexpectedly kicked away by Zhu Hao. This sudden scene stunned everyone present. With the precedent of the passionate young man being kicked unconscious, no one present dared to resist and silently accepted the fate of being exploited. When they saw that there was still a young man who dared to take action at this moment, they couldn't help but feel a little admiration in their hearts. My goodness, this kid actually dares to resist. A newborn calf is really not afraid of a tiger. Don't be happy too soon, he might be in trouble. His own little brother was beaten up. Chen Shan ran over with great momentum and shouted angrily, "Boy, are you tired of living? How dare you hit my people?" When the sturdy man rushed closer and suddenly saw Zhang Shooting in Zhu Hao's arms, his eyes suddenly became greedy. "Oh wow, this girl is great. She's mine." The big man stared at Zhang Shooting and reached out to grab her. "Don't want." Zhang Shooting quickly hid behind Zhu Hao, her voice trembling. She knew that being favored by Zhu Hao and being favored by this burly gangster would lead to two completely different outcomes. As long as you behave well, the former will give you enough food to allow you to live safely. But the latter, once they get tired of playing with themselves, will abandon them. At this moment, Zhang Shooting's hopes were all placed on Zhu Hao. But on the contrary, even when facing a strong man, Zhu Hao remained calm. Instead, he glanced at the burly man and said lightly, "Get out of here before I get mad." The big man who was rejected was stunned for a moment. Soon, the daze on his face disappeared in an instant, and was replaced by immense anger. "This is your girl, right? I've changed my mind. I'm going to break your arms and legs right in front of her." Chapter 25, Eliminating Evil. Chapter 25, Introducing Myself. As Chen Shan spoke, he stretched out his hand and tried to catch Zhu Hao. But who knew that Zhu Hao quickly took half a step back and easily avoided it. Chen Shan felt both ashamed and angry as his attack was dodged for the first time. "Are you looking for death? Who the hell are you?" Chen Shan was about to start cursing when he found himself halfway through when a cold object hit his forehead. He quickly looked up and saw a black gun barrel pressed against his forehead. "Is this a gun?" The fear of death poured over his whole body like cold water, and Chen Shan couldn't help but shiver. But soon, he reacted. In Longua, where gun control is strictly enforced, it is simply impossible for individuals to own guns. Even he didn't have a gun, let alone this ordinary guy in front of him. "What the hell are you pretending to be? Taking a toy gun as a real gun?" Chen Shan sneered disdainfully and reached out to snatch the gun. Just at this moment. Bump! The loud gunshots brought the entire place into complete silence. The next second, heart-wrenching screams echoed in the mezzanine. "R! R! R!" Just as Chen Shan stretched out his hand, the bullet landed squarely on the palm of his hand and pierced through it. This sudden change caught everyone present off guard. The sound of gunfire and screams stunned everyone. "Gun? Is it a gun? This guy actually has a gun. Why does he have a gun?" When everyone was puzzled, Zhu Hao had already walked to Chen Shan. Looking at Chen Shan, who was kneeling on the ground and howling in pain, he said lightly, "Is that all you can do? I thought you were so awesome." As Zhu Hao spoke, he fired 2 shots at Chen Shan's legs. Bang! Bang! This time, Chen Shan, whose thigh was pierced, could no longer hold on. His body softened and he fell to the ground with a bang. The younger brothers who reacted couldn't help but feel a pang in their hearts when they saw Chen Shan lying on the ground with his lips turning white due to pain. "A gun, that's a gun. Why does this guy have a gun? Damn it, I don't believe it." A reckless younger brother just raised the iron rod and ran a few steps in Zhu Hao's direction. But the next second. Bump! A silver bullet shot out from the pitch-black muzzle and landed accurately on the reckless younger brother's thigh. The huge impact force instantly pierced the reckless brother's leg bones, and with a pop, his body fell uncontrollably to the ground. R. 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 There are indeed people who are not afraid of death. Looking at the reckless younger brother who was rolling on the ground, Ju Hao said lightly. This horrifying scream, like a sharp blade, pierced everyone's heart. This amazing hit rate is really creepy. If Chen Shan, who was standing still just now, was a sitting duck, then what about the reckless younger brother who was running now? He can even hit moving people accurately, so what can't he hit? If anyone still doesn't believe this, come and give it a try to see whether your legs are faster or my gun is faster. Ju Hao said indifferently. With the precedence of the previous 2 times, all the gangsters dared not move. They looked nervous, you looked at me, I looked at you, and no one was at a loss. Fuck it, come on all of you, kill them all. Seeing that none of his younger brothers dared to step forward, Chen Shan shouted hoarsely in pain and anxiety. But before he could finish his words, Ju Hao pulled the trigger again. This time, Ju Hao neither hit his body nor his limbs. Instead, it hit his dignity as a man. The tremendous pain made Chen Shan's face turn extremely pale. He growled in pain and fainted instantly. This scene frightened many men present and made them swallow their saliva. I hate people who have no ability but still complain. Isn't it much quieter now? Ju Hao said with disdain. Without Chen Shan, the backbone, the other thugs became like a pile of loose sand. They dropped their weapons one after another and lay on the ground, not daring to move. Liu Mai, on the other hand, quickly understood the situation and clapped her hands in applause. Well done, well done. Young man, you have eliminated a great evil for our community. Everyone will thank you. Liu Mai came close to Ju Hao and kept praising him. Without waiting for Ju Hao to say anything, the neighbors who felt betrayed by her cast vicious glances at Liu Mai and started cursing her one after another. Old woman, what did you mean by betraying us just now? Our bloody meat buns so delicious. You're a fence sitter. You'll go to whichever side is better. What a bitch. You have harmed so many of us for your own selfish desires. You bastard, you must die a horrible death. Liu Mai, who always bullies the weak and fears the strong, immediately perked up when faced with such curses. She had no way to deal with a violent villain like Chen Shan. But she was happy to quarrel with her neighbors. After all, when it comes to quarreling, the old version of T0 has never been afraid. So annoying, what are you yelling about? A bunch of lunatics. I don't think there's anything shameful about doing this. It's all for a living. Besides, it's over now. Why do you keep bringing it up? Is this going to end? If you continue to slander me, I will have my son arrest you all. My son is a cadre in the neighborhood committee. Relying on the fact that her son is a neighborhood committee cadre, many people are wary of her. Coupled with her shameless attitude, Liu Mai has never lost in quarrels in the community. Ju Hao looked at the bag that Chen Shan dropped. In addition to some common foods, there are also a lot of various things. As for food, no one can have too much. Even if the food in the infinite space was enough for him to eat for a long time, Ju Hao would still be far from satisfied. He tied the bag, put it on his shoulder, and left with Zhang shooting. Seeing that the new financial sponsor was about to leave, Liu Mai quickly stopped arguing, ran to Ju Hao, and said with a smile. What's your name, little brother? You look unfamiliar. Are you from our neighborhood? A hint of disdain flashed across Ju Hao's eyes, and his tone became frivolous. Don't you know me? We are old acquaintances. Upon hearing the word, old acquaintance, Liu Mai immediately became alert and asked anxiously. Old acquaintance? Have we met somewhere before? I am old lady, and I don't remember clearly. Don't worry, think about it carefully. We agreed to meet here before. Ju Hao, who was playing charades, never revealed his identity, which made Liu Mai anxious. In fact, what really made her anxious was not Ju Hao who was about to leave. But it was the food bag in his hand, and the things in it were enough for her and her grandson Feifei to eat for a long time. If it were any other time, Liu Mai would have rushed to grab it, but now she was afraid of the gun in Ju Hao's hand, so she hesitated to take action. Oh, little brother, I really can't remember. How about this, you take this bag of food to my house first, I'll keep it for you. My son is a cadre of the neighborhood committee, we are all good people, you can rest assured. Liu Mai said expectantly, bringing up the name of the neighborhood committee again. Let me help you move it. As Liu Mai spoke, she grabbed a corner of the bag and prepared to snatch it away. At this moment, Zhu Hao, who was standing nearby, said with a smile, "You are such a good person." "Of course. Let me tell you, there is another bad guy in our neighborhood. His online name is Free Food and Free Housing. I can take you to find him later. He has a lot of food at home." Liu Mai took the opportunity to add, "Oh? From what you said, he is a very bad person." Zhu Hao pretended to be a little surprised. "Isn't it? That guy is a wicked man, raping and robbing. You have to do justice for us, little brother." Hearing that the other party was interested, Liu Mai exaggerated the matter and didn't care at all. A hint of murderous intent flashed in Zhu Hao's eyes. Seeing the smiling expression on Zhu Hao's face, Zhang Shuting was scared and broke out in a cold sweat. Liu Mai, who was completely unaware of the situation, continued to complain about the disadvantages of free food and accommodation. Little did she know that the real danger was right in front of her. "Hey, little brother, what's your name? Are you in our owner group? Can I add you in?" Liu Mai suddenly reacted and asked. "Me? I've been in the owner group for a long time." Zhu Hao said this and took out his pistol again. "My name is Zhu Hao, you can also call me Food and Lodging Provided. Chapter 26, Give You Face." As soon as he finished speaking, Zhu Hao snatched the food bag back. Liu Mai Dai slipped and fell backwards, and suddenly sat there in a daze. "Guarantee, provide food and accommodation? Just, you? You are the one who provides food and accommodation." After a brief moment of confusion, Liu Mai came to her senses and immediately remembered. This was the anonymous group member who had quarreled with her several times in the group not long ago and who had stockpiled a lot of food at home. Recalling that 10 seconds ago, she had been constantly saying bad things about free food and accommodation, and wanted to describe Zhu Hao as a villain. But now, she realized with surprise that the person she had been cursing was standing in front of her. "You, why are you here?" Liu Mai's voice trembled a little and her body couldn't help but shiver. "Didn't you ask me to come?" Zhu Hao said lightly. Soon, Liu Mai calmed down and kept thinking in her mind. "So what if I scold you? Am I still afraid of you? My son is a cadre in the neighborhood committee. If you dare to touch me, I will make you suffer the consequences." Liu Mai instantly regained her arrogance and pointed at Zhu Hao and scolded him loudly. "Hey you little bastard, I've been looking for you for a long time, hand over my food now." Zhu Hao raised his eyebrows and asked playfully, "What do you mean by your food? The things in the bag belong to me, and the same goes for the food you hid at home. Hand it all over to me." Liu Mai emphasized her tone. "Old woman, are you getting senile? This bag belongs to Chen Shan, not you." Zhu Hao shook his head. "Nonsense. I am now representing the neighborhood committee and the organization. All matters must be handed over to me for safekeeping. Anyone who dares to violate this will be punished by the organization. Hurry and give me the food. Otherwise, you will be in trouble." As Liu Mai said this, she was about to rush forward to snatch the bag of food. But before she could take even half a step, Zhu Hao, with his quick hands and eyes, slapped Liu Mai in the face. Bang! A powerful palm directly knocked Liu Mai unconscious. Soon, a red handprint clearly appeared on Liu Mai's face, and even a trace of blood flowed from the corner of her mouth. Liu Mai, who had never suffered such an injury in decades, screamed in pain. "R! R! R! Murder! Murder!" Liu Mai lay on the ground, screaming and talking nonsense. "I'm going to call the police and sue you until you're bankrupt. I'm telling you, I'm not done with you. You must give me everything you own, your house, your food, your car, everything, or you will be shot." But no matter how much she quarreled or made a fuss, no one took it seriously, as if they were just watching a monkey show. Liu Mai was completely immersed in her own fantasy and didn't notice that Zhu Hao had come to her side. Zhu Hao grabbed Liu Mai with one hand. "Old woman, do you have the face?" The next second, the huge palm made close contact with Liu Mai's face. "One slap, 2 slaps, 3 slaps. What do you want to do? I'm warning you." Liu Mai wanted to say something, but before she could even utter a word, she was slapped back in the face. Snap! 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 All the strength burst out at this moment. All the anger was vented at this moment. If you shoot directly, you will get an instant pleasure. Then slapping someone one slap at a time will delay the pleasure. Zhu Hao, who was enjoying the fight, didn't notice it at all. Some people not far away were already cheering for him secretly, and some even started clapping. Well done. I've wanted to beat up this old woman for a long time. You old bastard, you've done a lot of bad things, and now the retribution has finally come. For a long time. Zhu Hao only stopped slowly when his palms started to swell. He threw Liu Mai aside as if throwing away garbage. It feels so good. It feels so good. I haven't felt so good in a long time. Damn it. Zhu Hao howled loudly. At this moment, all the dissatisfaction was vented. Not far away, Liu Mai, whose head was beaten like a pig, collapsed limply on the ground, muttering something in her dizzy state. Give it to me, all mine. We'll shoot you all, shoot you all. After taking a glance at Liu Mai, who was still unwilling to give up, and then looking at the neighbors around him who were ready to make a move, Zhu Hao suddenly came up with a plan. Walking into the middle of the crowd, Zhu Hao said with a sly grin, "Whoever wants to beat her up, come get food from me." As he spoke, he opened Chen Shan's food bag and spilled the contents all over the floor. The neighbors were already very unhappy because Chen Shan bullied them and robbed them of their supplies. Later, he was betrayed by their fence-sitter Liu Mai, and his anger burned to the extreme. Because Zhu Hao had a gun in his hand, they did not dare to act rashly. But now Zhu Hao actually said that while beating up this traitorous old woman, he could also get his food back. Is there such a good thing in the world? Everyone looked at me and I looked at you, but no one noticed. Just then, an uncle came out and kicked Liu Mai hard. He looked at Zhu Hao worriedly and asked, "Is it okay?" Zhu Hao nodded and pointed to the food on the ground. "Get it yourself." Everyone who reacted instantly burst into exclamations. "Oh my god! Is it really possible? Isn't he this person too nice?" Everybody was cheering and clapping. All of a sudden, dozens of people rushed towards Liu Mai and started punching and kicking her. "I told you to betray us. Weren't you very arrogant when you helped Chen Shan just now? You are a good person, but you are not the one who does it. You are the traitor. I hate traitors the most in my life." At this moment, even the people from their mutual aid society ignored it. After all, stopping people now would mean offending everyone, and they would not do such a stupid thing. Seeing that the situation was almost over, Zhu Hao threw the food bag to the ground. Anyway, the food was stolen from neighbors, so returning the original items would have no effect on me. As for whether they took the wrong things or took too much, that's none of my business. Let's go home. Zhu Hao, feeling relieved, hugged Zhang Shooting in his arms and whistled. Admiring the strong is something everyone likes to do. Especially for women, leaning on the strong has become something they do subconsciously. In the conflict just now, Zhu Hao's amazing courage and unlimited confidence have deeply attracted Zhang Shooting. This time, Zhang Shooting didn't say anything and followed Zhu Hao upstairs. The introduction just now has let everyone present know his true identity. It is estimated that it won't be long before this news spreads throughout the community. Even though people are having fun now, once the excitement is over, they will do anything for a bite to eat. Just as he was about to turn around and go home, Zhu Hao heard hurried footsteps behind him. "Wait a moment." A delicate voice sounded behind him. Zhu Hao turned his head and saw a young girl in her early 20s lowering her head shyly. She was the beautiful girl who was spotted by Chen Shan's gangsters and was about to be kidnapped. After just a few seconds of staring, the system automatically prompted. Name, Jiang Xiaoling. Age, 21. Occupation, kindergarten teacher. Appearance, 7 points. Character, 4 points. Womanhood, 3 points, has a legitimate boyfriend and is dating 3 male parents at the same time. Overall score, 4 points. Tip, does not meet the minimum requirements of this system and cannot be bound. Having a boyfriend and cheating on him with 3 male parents? Such a lavish way of playing. Zhu Hao couldn't help but feel ashamed. Chapter 27, Beautiful Women. Zhu Hao kept staring at the other person, which instantly made Zhang Shooting jealous. "I've already gone with you, why are you still here looking at other people? How am I inferior to her?" In terms of appearance, Zhang Shooting knows that she will not lose to the other party. But in terms of youthfulness, she is far behind. Because of her previous work, Zhang Shuting had to stay up late for a long time and had already acquired a lot of office work habits. In addition to her age disadvantage, the word youth and vitality can no longer be associated with her. Although she was unwilling, Zhang Shuting would never say it out loud. Zhu Hao now has food, weapons, and other mysterious confidence. With such conditions, many women are eager to pounce on him. What's the matter? Zhu Hao asked calmly, not paying any attention to Zhang Shuting's jealousy. You mean free food and accommodation, right? I'm also in the owner group, and I've seen the message you sent. Jiang Xiaoling was a little curious. Yes, that's me. Zhu Hao nodded. That's great. You mean what you say, right? As long as I go with you, you will give me food, right? Jiang Xiaoling was a little excited. She has already controlled the 3 male parents and is very confident in her appearance. It will be easy for her to control Zhu Hao. If it were in the past, seeing a beauty like this coming to him, Zhu Hao would definitely nod in agreement. But after seeing the system prompt, he rejected the other party on the spot. You go now. Jiang Xiaoling, who was still immersed in the thought of getting her food and ready to sit back and relax, was stunned on the spot. Walk? What do you mean? What are you walking for? Doesn't he like me? Jiang Xiaoling never thought that she, who had controlled countless men, would actually be rejected. And he is just an ordinary man. Why? I'm not good enough. Jiang Xiaoling, who was unwilling to give up, was very anxious. Not to mention anything else, just the pile of food that Zhu Hao sent to the group was enough to make her take the initiative. Har har. You still dare to ask what's not good enough? You want to use me as an ATM, right? Oh, no, it should be a food warehouse. Zhu Hao snorted coldly and shook his head. With the appearance of Jiang Xiaoling, the women present quickly came over and kept showing themselves off in front of Zhu Hao. Some showed off their figures, some acted cute, and some raised their heads and gave orders like queens. Zhu Hao was screening them while looking at them one by one. Name, Xu Huan. Age, 32. Occupation, lawyer. Appearance, 5 points. Character, 2 points. She once forced 2 husbands to leave the house with nothing, and now has assets exceeding 5 million. Women S-Way, 8 points. Comprehensive score, 5 points. Tip: this woman does not meet the minimum requirements of this system and cannot be bound. Oh my god. What a vicious lawyer. If she gets with me, I won't know how I'll die. This is not allowed. Zhu Hao quickly shifted his target and set his eyes on another beautiful woman. Name, He Shanshan. Age, 39. Occupation, senior executive of a state-owned enterprise. Appearance, 6 points. Character, 2 points. Intermediate female boxer, fired most of the men in the company and wanted to build a purely female company. Women S-Way, 8 points. Comprehensive score, 5 points. Tip: does not meet the minimum requirements of this system and cannot be bound. Intermediate female boxing? Another version answer. No. No. Wherever his eyes passed, there was no shortage of beautiful or slim women, but following the system's prompts, Zhu Hao skipped them one by one. It's not that Zhu Hao doesn't like beauties, but these beauties are really hard for ordinary people to accept. As soon as I got home and opened the door, Zhang Shuting was frightened by the scene before her. I saw the table in the living room was piled with all kinds of snacks, as high as a hill. He really didn't lie to me. There really is so much food. Although she tried hard to hide it, Zhu Hao still saw Zhang Shuting's shock. You're so surprised by just this little bit of food. You'll be surprised in the future. Zhu Hao thought to himself. In order to ensure the hygiene of the environment, it also gives myself something to do every day. Zhu Hao does a small thing every day and a big thing every week. Make sure your home is always clean. Although Zhang Shuting is also a clean person, the long-term hunger made her automatically ignore environmental hygiene. Before going to the market, her house was already a mess. Let me be frank with you. If you don't follow the rules, there will be only one outcome. Zhu Hao said this and pointed in the direction of the gate. So what are the rules? Zhang Shuting asked curiously. What I say is the rule. Zhu Hao turned around and lay on the sofa, his tone suddenly becoming stern. What this means is that as long as you become Zhu Hao's man, you have to be obedient. If he tells you to go east, you cannot go west. If he tells you to lie down, you cannot kneel. Although Zhang Shuting was somewhat unhappy in her heart, this little emotion soon disappeared. She nodded obediently to show her agreement. Okay, come sit down. Zhu Hao, who was sitting on the sofa, patted the empty seat next to him. Zhang Shuting, who was standing the moment before, did not hesitate at all. She immediately sat down and subconsciously snuggled up to Zhu Hao. Good. That's good. Zhu Hao was very satisfied. At this time, what had just happened in the overhead trading market had already spread among the owners' group. There are text descriptions and pictures. What's even more outrageous is that someone even took a video of Zhu Hao slapping Liu Mai. Is this a mistake? Isn't this just an ordinary man? This is called a true person who doesn't show his true colors. You know nothing about this. Which floor does this guy live on? I need to find him for something urgent. Don't think too much, he only wants beautiful women. Seeing more and more people paying attention to him in the group, Zhu Hao smiled. This was something he had expected. For Zhu Hao, this is both a good thing and a bad thing. The good thing is that after your strength is exposed, many women will come to you, and then the upgrade speed of the extraordinary cashback system will skyrocket. At the same time, your home will become fat pork in the eyes of hungry people and those with evil intentions. It's time to show you who is the boss of this neighborhood. Touching the pistol, Zhu Hao said fiercely. On the other side, seeing the food on the guest table, Zhang Shuting had no intention of looking at it at all. She stared at it but did not dare to reach out. The food Zhu Hao gave her had been eaten a while ago, and she was a little hungry, so she wanted to rush over immediately. However, due to Zhu Hao's majesty, Zhang Shuting hesitated to take any action. Instead, she sat beside Zhu Hao with a serious face. Zhu Hao was watching TV with a relaxed look on his face when he heard a gurgling sound beside him. Zhang Shuting is hungry. Taking a look at Zhang Shuting, who was still holding on, Zhu Hao smiled and pinched her little face hard. He casually threw the holojoy on the guest table over and said, "Eat it. Get consent." Zhang Shuting didn't care about her image at all. She immediately tore open the package and swallowed it in one gulp. Take your time, there's no rush, there's plenty more. Zhu Hao patted her on the back. After all their ups and downs, the satisfied Zhang Shuting touched her bloated belly and breathed a sigh of relief. After a full meal, Zhu Hao's inner desire unconsciously burned as he looked at Zhang Shuting's rosy face. After exchanging glances, Zhu Hao walked into the bedroom without looking back. An hour later, Zhu Hao, feeling relaxed both physically and mentally, whistled with satisfaction, recalling what had just happened. Zhang Shuting was about to get up, but when she looked at her dirty clothes, and then at the closet which was full of men's clothes, she looked embarrassed. Can I go get my clothes? I'll be right back. Zhang Shuting hesitated for a while and asked tentatively. What he was worried about was not that Zhang Shuting would run away, but that she would be reluctant to leave due to the huge amount of food. What really worried Zhu Hao were those hungry people who were eyeing him covetously. How can you allow others to touch your own things? Zhu Hao thought about it and said, I'll help you get it. Zhang Shuting's home is on the 15th floor, while Zhu Hao's is on the 30th floor. After thinking for a while, Zhu Hao put the pistol on his belt and went out with peace of mind. When he arrived at Zhang Shuting's home, Zhu Hao picked out a few skirts and uniforms that he liked. After packing them all into the bag, they returned safely to the 30th floor. Suddenly, a familiar voice sounded upstairs. Brother, please let me go.